Hey there.
Hell yeah.
We're back down here in Porchville. What's up?
What's up?
We got Reed back on.
The gang's all here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Matt's over there.
Hey, guys.
Reed's over there.
What's up?
Survival Steve is over there.
Hey,
And
guys.
Taylor is over there. How you doing, Taylor?
Pretty good.
All right. You pull that down just a little bit more. You can just right there. Yeah.
Get right up in there.
The gang is all here. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Good. Doing good.
Fantastic.
Doing awesome.
We got a pretty awesome episode tonight. I've been watching a lot of the show Alone. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. I know you've heard of it, Steve.
Absolutely.
I'm a big Alone fan.
You're a big Alone fan, Reed. I'm a big fan. So I've been watching this show a lot. I've caught every episode that I can possibly see, and I was like, you know what? It would be fun to talk to somebody who does this for a living, or who knows anything about this, because I have no knowledge at all. I would love to talk to some people that know how to do that. And so I looked it up. I said, what are the chances? And Survival Steve, came up. And I looked you guys up. North Florida Survival and Adventure.
Yep.
That's what you guys do.
That's what we do.
And tell us what you do, because this is what I want to know. Like, how do you do it? What do you do? How ill-prepared am I to do it, which is probably very...
Oh, you would definitely die.
How
Shut
long
up.
is this podcast?
Hey, we got pretty much infinite time, so...
Okay.
But we try to keep it in a 2-hour time frame.
I was going to say,
so.
it takes a pretty good long time to say what exactly I do, but it might take longer to say, how you're not prepared.
Okay, well, fair enough. He knows me well already. My reputation has preceded me. So how... all right, so let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Now, day one, survival basic 101. What do we need to survive on our own out there in the world?
All right. So number one, we always teach our students is a positive mental attitude. You have 5 priorities in survival, and number one is always positive mental attitude. If you have the will to survive and a desire to get through it, you're way more likely to survive than someone that goes out there and says, "Oh my God, this is horrible. I'm going to die."
I love that.
If you say you can or you can't, you're right.
Okay.
And so positive mental attitude is number one.
I'm with that.
Yep. So,
That's awesome.
I mean, it might be a horrible, sucky situation, but regardless, you got to find your motivation, your drive, your why. You're going to get out of there.
When you train people, do you give them like a scenario sort of thing? Like, hey, I want you to picture this happens. Like, what sort of things do you lay down for them?
So we don't do scenarios. We do a practical where they actually get to test their skills. Sometimes we can do a practical exam toward the end of the course.
Mm-hmm.
But we the basic, if you want to get to the basic, the most basic course we teach is the Weekend Warrior, and that's a 3-day course, 2 nights out in the wilderness. And the reason we teach this course is because the National Association of Search and Rescue teaches that less than 5% of people live past 72 hours in an emergency survival situation.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
Are you serious? 72 hours. That's it.
95% of people don't make it.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Wait. So, like, somebody couldn't just, like, lay on the ground for 72 hours and live through that?
Maybe. Depends on a lot of things. There's so many variables in nature and in the wilderness.
Especially
so many
in
different
Florida,
things that
man.
could happen. In
Just lay
Florida,
on the ground in here.
yeah. What mostly gets you here is the
I'm
heat.
not from Florida.
The heat and the humidity will just knock it right out of you in Florida.
Right.
So, I mean, have you ever tried to sit anywhere for several hours and just do nothing?
I try not to. Yeah, I'm a little ADHD.
It seems like when you try to sit and do nothing, it's even harder than when you have nothing to do and you're just kind of forced to do it. But
Yeah.
so they say you can live like 3 days without food, but how long can you think you could go without food?
About 6 hours.
Yeah, I'm more like an hour and a half guy.
Yeah.
So, but imagine going 3 days, having nothing to eat and still needing to function. It's a lot different than just laying there for 3 days and letting your body, consume what it already has and what it's able to, and then not having the calories that it needs to replenish. So, getting back on track, the Weekend Warrior, we teach all the basics so people know how to get past the first 72 hours of survival. And it can get you much further than that, but it's just down to the basics. The fire by friction, proper fire building and maintaining. Thermoregulation is a big one, learning how to keep your body the right temperature, especially here in Florida because, that's a big killer exposure. We call it, shoot, I just had a brain fart and forgot the word. You have hypothermia and hyperthermia. So in Florida, we get hyperthermia. Our bodies get too hot and it's not able to cool down.
That's me.
Yep.
That's me. I have a heck of a time with that.
Yep.
I'm from Wisconsin. I get that pretty much on a daily basis here in Florida.
Definitely not used to the
Yeah.
same kind of weather here.
Yeah, it gets me.
Yep. And then you have edible plants that you find in the wilderness, how to find and purify water, signaling for rescue, basic bushcrafting, and shelter building. So the number one priority, like we mentioned earlier, is a positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
But the second priority is always going to be shelter, because most people die from exposure, which
Right.
means their bodies get too hot or too cold because it's exposed to the elements. It might be rain, it might be cold, it might be heat. Who knows what it could be?
How would you? I mean, if you just dropped off in the bush out here somewhere in the middle of nowhere, what would be a go-to to build a shelter?
Depends on the time of year. So
Yeah.
if it's winter time, then I'm going to build a down and dirty, like very low to the ground and very small, just big enough to where I can fit in a debris shelter.
Okay.
And so I'd make like a small A-frame and lay like a one single truss or joint or stick down the middle of it, and then pile a bunch of sticks on top of that, and then cover that with lots of debris. And the reason is you want all those air pockets in those different temperate zones to help keep you warm inside. It's going to insulate you. And then you can have a little fire outside, but you don't want to have it too close to a debris shelter, because a debris shelter is basically made of a bunch of tinder that
Wow.
can go up in flames. In the summertime, you want shade, protection from the rain and the storms, and then you want airflow. Here in Florida, airflow is going to be big because the humidity is going to get you. What happens when the humidity is over 70% is the sweat that drips off your body never evaporates. It just drips. And evaporation is your body's way to cool down.
Yeah.
So what happens when the sweat on your skin evaporates? The sodium helps it to evaporate and dry out, and your blood vessels, they dilate. They get close to the skin. They get big and round and flat. And as your skin cools down from the sweat evaporating, it cools down those blood vessels as they pump back into your body, and that helps keep your body nice and cool. But when you can't sweat and evaporate, and it just drips off of you, two things happen. Number one, your body puts out more sweat, so you start to dehydrate yourself. And number two, your body doesn't cool down. It starts to get really hot. And then you start getting heat exhaustion. You'll get a tension headache in the back of your skull,
Yep.
like in the base of your skull, back of your neck. And then you start getting grumpy and fidgety.
That's me.
Grumpy.
Yeah, grumpy. That's what it is. He's got
Is,
heat
What?
is
exhaustion.
that where is that
Dehydration
like bear caught? Is that kind of the
There's
same
no
thing?
telling.
Bear caught?
Bear
have-
caught?
Bear caught.
What is that?
It's like heat stroke.
Isn't it just heat stroke?
I didn't.
Yeah, we
I
just
thought
call it
that you
heat
would
stroke.
know about it. I didn't know about it until I moved to
Why are you
Florida.
just making stuff up?
I've never heard of that term.
Yeah.
All right.
We just
Nobody's
call it-
heard of it.
We just call it heat stroke. So you got heat exhaustion, and then that can
That's
lead up
what
to
I
heat
always.
stroke.
All right. So shut up, Matt. I just fired myself.
Yeah, that's okay, man. It's cool to make up neat new words.
Yeah. He's
I'm
pretty
going to
good.
call it that from now on.
He's
Matt.
pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm
Anytime something sounds like shenanigans from now on, you can just say bear caught.
bear caught.
That's what I learned when I moved to Florida. It's just like, man, I got heat stroke. And it's like, oh, the bear got you? Well, what are you talking about? Oh, you're bear caught. Bear what? What are you talking about?
No.
No, you're bear caught.
Somebody was just setting you astray, like
Yeah.
from day one, is what
Somebody
it sounds
got
like.
you, man.
I don't know. Maybe you should just like meet some of the country bumpkins that I work with. That could
Did you ever-
explain it to you.
Did you ever get sent for a board stretcher or a sky hook or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to judge. Sorry.
I'm a little gullible.
Okay.
I once sent a guy into a cooler for steam. Go find me boxes of steam, man. We need steam for the steam table.
Nice.
You know what? That actually might have been me.
No, this was a kid that I worked with at the restaurant. Yeah, steam, and then the other one is drain the tea urn. You know, that's the waitress one. Just drain the water out. Well, it's hooked up to the tap, so it's never going to drain. but-
Never drains.
All right, so all right, you got your positive attitude,
Right. Yep. And then you got shelter.
and you got your shelter.
Yep. And what do you think would be the third one?
I mean,
Water.
I'd think water.
Water is definitely number 3.
Yeah.
And keep in mind these priorities can change depending on the situation.
Depend. Yeah.
So if if it's super rainy outside or super hot, of course you're going to need shelter first. But if it's dark and you have a lighter and you have the ability to make fire, it's going to be important to make fire first, because then you'll have the ability to see. You know. So what do you think would be number 4?
Fire.
Fire.
No?
No.
Hold on. Let me think about this one.
Protection?
No.
No.
Food.
Because I would definitely want
Food?
like a
Food.
samurai sword.
Food would be number 4.
So-
and then fire would be number 5.
Food in 3 days? Huh?
Yep. Well, you don't know if it's going to be 3 days. You hope it's going to be less.
Okay.
So
I
you
feel
never
you.
know.
You know,
You
that
never
was-
know what a survival.
That was one of the
situation's
things I
gonna
kind of liked about the other way that they did Alone before they did this one, where it was, oh, you just got to make it 100 days. I liked it when it was just, we're just dropping you off, and
Yeah. You don't know
You
when
don't
you-
know how long you're going to be
be.
here.
You might be the last one, but you won't know until we come to get you.
That seemed a better way of doing it.
Did
you know,
anybody make
mentally.
it 100 days though?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You watched we were talking about it earlier. The dude Roland, was that his name?
I don't
Who
remember.
made it? Most recent.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
winner?
believe.
Well, he made it 100
Yeah,
days.
he made
but
it 100
in the
days.
previous seasons.
Oh no, the longest one was that Jordan guy. I think like 70.
Yeah, I don't think
something
anybody
days.
made it in 100 days except for Roland.
Yeah, this was they had said, this is the most extreme ever.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So some folks are love being away from society. I'm one
Yeah.
of those people that I'm fine to be out there.
How did you get into this? Has this just been something you've always done? Like, I guess there's a lot of questions that go along with that. Are you from here?
I am from Florida.
Okay, so
Ocala,
you were born
Marion
and
County.
raised in this environment and still love to be outside.
Sometimes.
It takes a special kind of person to enjoy the outdoors.
I'll say I charge a lot more during the summer months when it's
I
hot and
bet.
humid.
So how did you get into doing this?
The
what's
woods
the
has always
spark?
been my safe place since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Didn't have the greatest home environment when I was
Amen.
young, so the woods was my safe place to go.
Yeah.
And then all throughout my younger days, it was just a fun place and a cool place to be, where me and all my friends went and partying down at the lakes and hanging out. And I always liked being there better than anywhere else.
Amen.
Yep.
I like that. How long have you spent
Teaching
in
in
the woods on your own? Like
a couple of weeks.
just a couple weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Is there like a personal best that you're going to go for?
No, I
Yeah.
have too many goals, so
Yeah.
generating revenue is an important thing to me.
I totally understand that. And how is it? I mean, with I know with the popularity of shows like this popping up, that there's always going to be more people that are going, oh, I kind of want to check this out.
Yep.
So has there been a big increase the last?
I wish there had been, but no. So when the survival shows started getting really popular, I would say things might have gotten a little better.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit, just everybody quit spending money, quit going outside, quit doing anything. So
Yeah.
that we took a hit during the beginning of the COVID, but people are starting to get back to normal life now,
Yeah.
and they're signing up, and people are calling, and the phone's been really busy. Probably the last month more than it has most of the year.
I think people are sort of coming out of this going, you know what? I think I need a little bit more knowledge.
What's your audience like? I mean, do you have a lot of just adults, or do you have teenagers and kids that come along with it?
I would say a complete melting pot of people.
Really?
From all walks of life come out and do the survival training, and for all different reasons. I mean, you get people that just want to do something cool with their family and have a cool outdoor adventure, and then you get all the way to the tinfoil hat wearing, I wouldn't say crazy, but very paranoid people.
I'll say crazy. It's okay.
Yeah, that definitely they have to learn this and they have to learn that because something's going to happen any day now, and it might, and that's the
Yeah.
whole reason. And I tell everybody that comes and takes this course, congratulations on being a responsible American citizen.
Yeah.
You're being trained to prepare to take care of yourself and your family no matter what happens. And whether you're a hunter and you just wanted to have some skills in case you fall out of your tree stand and you're stuck in the woods, or you get turned around and lost, or did that happen to you before?
I haven't fallen out of a tree stand yet, but it
Knock-
will happen.
knock on wood over there, man.
When you're
knock on
drinking
wood.
beer in a tree stand and you fall asleep on accident, it's
I'll definitely advise against that, but we'll get back to that in a minute.
That's part of the training. Don't drink beer in the tree stand.
Yeah. So I would say all kinds of people come out for this class, and I've had students, and they can come into the field and stay out in the field from ages 8 up to however old they can handle it. I've had people in their 60s come out and take the course.
wow.
So getting to the tree stand and drinking thing,
Yeah.
our school focuses on risk mitigation. We do not take unnecessary risk. You see some people on TV, and I won't name their names, and they say, "Oh, I got to jump from this cliff to that cliff to get to this point over here so that I can survive." Well, you don't jump from a cliff to another cliff.
Are you talking about
Kinda
Bear
survive.
Grylls?
It could definitely be somebody with a name that rhymes with Air Nils, but I won't
In
name
that
names.
neighborhood.
Yes, you don't drink your own urine to survive.
Yeah.
It's,
I don't know that I could.
yeah, you'll survive in spite of it, and not
You
because
wouldn't
of
pee
it.
in a snake skin and drink it?
No.
Negative. Mm-mm.
No.
I trained with Cody Lundeen in Arizona.
I just
from
did it
Dual
yesterday.
Survivor.
It wasn't that bad.
And he taught us that if you drink your urine, you'll survive in spite of it, not because of it. And the reason is it's everything that your body didn't need. It's already taken out the potassium, magnesium, the sodium, and all the electrolytes. It's taken out all the good stuff, and it uses that system to flush out all the stuff that's like not good. And then you put that into your body, and it's not.
I'd be willing to bet that most people in this situation would suffer because of the water that they drink.
It happens a lot.
I would imagine.
You know what you can do with your urine, though?
What's that?
You can actually like urinate on your clothes and then fan it out. And then once it cools off, you can put it on your wrist or around your neck. And I know it sounds gross, but you got a lot of large blood vessels that flow through there. And what you're doing is you're cooling off that blood before it pumps back into your body. So if you can't sweat and have that sweat evaporate, you can use that cool rag or towel or shirt or whatever that you urinated on, and then put that on those spots where all the blood flow is and help cool down that blood before it pumps back into your body. So don't ingest it, but you can use it. So, and that's if you're hydrated enough to pee. Most people, by the time they get out there, they're already dehydrated.
Right.
Yep.
Porchville tips from Survival Steve here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But then by the time you do pee, it feels like you're pissing out like spicy mustard.
It's usually pretty bad. Once you get dehydrated, it's like it looks and probably smells a lot like some bad spicy mustard.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if people are in a situation where they're like just walking up to a river, throwing some, and trying to drink from it, like, is that a no-no? Or
yeah, we say if you can't see the source and feel the water, that it's nice and cold, so that it's like a spring-fed source, then we don't recommend drinking it without some type of purification. Boiling is always number one. It's the best way to purify anything if you can boil it.
But see, the thing is, like, if somebody's in a situation, in a they must survive situation. I mean, they're usually not equipped with all the stuff that a lot of these folks have. So what should somebody do if they're just
there are times when
wake
you
up
do
in the
drink
middle of
water.
nowhere?
Yeah, so if you're day 2 and you haven't had a drink in a while and you're you feel that tension headache starting to get in the back of your skull there in the base of your skull, there does come a time when you say, well, I haven't had anything to drink for 2 or 3 days, and if I don't drink something soon, I'm gonna go. And there's this river over here that I've been following, but I haven't found civilization yet.
Right.
You always go downriver. You never go up.
Yeah.
Because if you can hike a mile up the river, and where you stop right around the bend could be a dead animal in the water, and it's all kind of growing of bacteria and stuff inside of this animal, and it's going into the water, and you scoop your hands up and drink that water. You always go down the river, and that way you can have a chance to see anything that might be there. So there is a time when you might have to drink the water, even though you don't know if it's safe or not safe. But you always want to avoid that if at all possible.
What if there's just no water?
So there is water. You just got to find it. You got to know where to look. Usually you can dig low enough to get a seep well. There's moisture in the ground. There's water in the ground.
Especially in Florida, I suppose that would make sense.
Right. It might not be a pool or a well or a sinkhole or anything like that, but there's moisture in the dirt, in the soil. And if you dig a deep enough hole, then that moisture will all collect at a low spot of that hole. Especially if you cover it with a piece of clear plastic or something, to where the sun can get through and heat all that up, and it'll condense on that plastic, and you can put a cup down there and collect it. There's vines that you can cut, like a muscadine grapevines that grow all over the place here in north central.
I saw
Florida.
a picture of you drinking that.
Yeah.
You can drink out of those?
You can cut those muscadine grapevines and drink the water right out of them.
Really?
Wow.
It's delicious. It's great water. So there is water out there. You just got to know where to find it, and that's why you train. And I tell people all the time, don't train with one person. Train with as many people as you can, because you'll learn something new from everybody.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's there's water. You just gotta know where to look for it and how to get it.
So what sort of hurdles does Florida come with? I mean, because there's got to be some automatic things. I mean, the bugs and the animals and the
Top
snakes.
2 are going to be the humidity and the insects.
Yeah.
Lots of biting insects. Yeah. Especially nighttime.
I don't like
or in the
them.
summers. Now, when winter gets here, of course, the insect activity kind of goes down a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite disappear, but if it's really cold, you don't got to really worry about them at night. They'll be burrowed down and trying to stay alive. But the humidity there's nothing you can do about that. You can take all your clothes off, and you're still going to just drip sweat everywhere.
Yeah, so me personally, I don't care
I love it.
about the humidity at all. Like,
Doesn't bother you at all?
Florida born.
He's weird.
I'm fine with
He's
humidity. I'm fine
weird.
with sweating.
Yep.
But the bugs,
Yeah, the bugs will get you. And
I've learned to be okay with them, but mosquitoes are nasty.
there's plants that help with that too. So the the downside is you can wear more clothes, and that'll help protect you from the insects, but it makes you sweat more. You can take off all your clothes, but then you get more insect bites. And nobody likes it when I'm on the course and I try to take off all my clothes. They frown upon you as an instructor and a business person when you take off all your clothes in the middle of a course. And you're like, what is this guy doing?
Steve, what are you doing?
What are you doing? So I don't do that. And so with the insects, there's lots of plants that you can use. Some that are native to this area are wax myrtle and beautyberry, American beautyberry. And the wax myrtle, either one, you can take the leaves and dip them in water, or you can just put them on the fire. But it's better if you dip them in water, you get more steam. And then when it burns, yep.
I know that one. I don't know the wax myrtle.
Wax myrtle. So you'll find it around lakes and other areas. Sometimes you'll find it in just out in the woods. But just Google it, wax myrtle. You can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And the Indians used it too to put on the fire and use it to help keep mosquitoes away as well. But beautyberries have a natural occurring chemical inside the leaf that will help repel mosquitoes. Not foolproof. It's not 90% DEET,
but it helps.
It helps. And they don't like smoke to begin with, but when you have that smoke with that chemical in it that they don't like, then it's even better.
Huh.
And the upside about the American beautyberries, you can actually eat the berries. They grow in those little purple clusters down the stalk. Some old timers call them turkey berries because the turkeys like to eat them too. But you can eat those beautyberries, and they're very bland. They don't have much sugar at them.
They're pretty
hard little seeds on the inside. Good. Not very good, but it's food. It's sustenance. So we always say it'll build a turd.
So do you teach?
It's a great saying.
That is the best saying
it'll
I think I've
build
ever
a
heard.
turd.
It'll
I
build
love
a
It'll build a
turd.
turd. It might not be the best thing, but it'll build a turd.
Do you teach like what to look for in plants? Like do you teach like edible plants?
We do teach edible plants, but we don't teach. The only edible plants we teach are ones that are edible year round, and plants that are edible at any time in their growth.
Mushrooms?
So, no. So I was told a neat thing one time that all mushrooms are edible, but some of them only once. So unless you're a professional mushroom picking connoisseur, stay away from the mushrooms.
I only pick one kind.
I only pick one kind, ironically too, but it's.
I imagine they're both vastly different.
It is the one I pick is called chicken of the wood. It's super easy to identify. It's like bright yellow, and it's very dense, and it tastes kind of like chicken, and the texture when you chew it's kind of like chicken too, but it's super easy to identify, and they're huge.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, so mushrooms, not so much. Pokeweed is a good example. The old timers would eat pokeweed salad, but when pokeweed gets over a foot tall, it becomes toxic. So we don't teach that as an edible plant in our course because if someone forgets that little detail, it could kill them.
I did not know that.
Yes, so we
That's
teach.
a hell of a detail.
Yeah, we teach things like swamp cabbage or heart of palm.
I've heard of swamp cabbage.
Yep,
I've seen somebody prepare that once.
Yeah.
It was.
It's not bad at all. You can eat it
interesting.
raw. You can cook it. It's really good.
It's not bad.
Cambium, pine bark, greenbrier. There's lots of berries like blackberries, wild blueberries, things like that grow out there, the beauty berries. So there's lots of plants that you can eat, but we don't teach anything that's not going to be edible throughout the year or throughout its ripen time of its growth, or anything that's not going to be edible throughout the entirety of its life, like the pokeberries.
That's wild.
Yep. So stay away from the danger ones.
So no picking mushrooms when you don't know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're not a professional mushroom picker, just don't do it. It's not worth the risk.
Don't want to pick no death caps.
Have you ever seen any of the Naked and Afraid or any of those episodes of those shows where the guys actually try a mushroom and then they really one of those guys he ate one, he thought it was fine, and he got really sick, had to lay down in the cool water. I think they ended up taking him off the show. I don't remember. But I mean, it's not worth the risk.
The Naked and Afraid people, they don't seem to be nearly as prepared.
I don't know, man.
As the
I've had a few
folks.
people
I don't know.
that have went on several different shows that have called me from this area. They got casted for a show and they wanted to do some training.
Mm-hmm.
And most all the people that I've got have never had training before.
Really?
Yep. So I don't know what the criteria is to get on one of those shows. I've tried to get on a couple of shows alone. A friend of mine, Matt Burke, he runs Tin Can out of Newberry, Florida. He tried to get us on alone back when they were doing the one where they dropped two people off and you had to navigate to each other.
See, I haven't seen that one.
That one was good.
That's
I
the one
like
you
that
were talking about with the brothers or something,
yeah,
right?
The brothers that always argued.
I haven't seen those.
They won.
He was retired Air Force, and I'm a survival instructor, so maybe they passed on us because of that reason. I don't know, but I wouldn't mind doing it, but I don't know how Taylor feels about me being gone for several months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor, how do you fit into this? Do you subscribe to the survivalist mentality, or are you just like, no, I got the AC on in the house, I'm gonna be over there? Because that's where my wife would be. She'd be like, you go out in the woods all you want, I'll be at the house.
Tell them about your first time
Which one?
coming out on the course, like what you hadn't done before versus what you were exposed to.
So growing up, I would always go camping with family. We'd go to campgrounds that had bathrooms and designated campsites. And so the first time I went with him, we went and he kind of brought us into the middle of nowhere, no campsites, kind of just picked an area that was flat enough for us to make camp at. And just, it was very
like,
different.
what the heck am I getting into here?
Yeah. And so most of the trips we've been on, we haven't even used tents. We kind of just,
Out under the stars.
yep. And
I got a friend of mine who loves to do that. He's born and raised in Florida, South Miami, and we would go camping, and I'd be in the tent or the camper or whatever, and he's sleeping bag next to the fire. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
I'm fine with it except for the spiders.
Yeah, see,
Nope.
you didn't even have to say spiders.
She calls
now.
them nopes.
Oh
Not a
God,
big nope fan.
Dude, there was one time Nick heard about an island that's like infested with snakes, and he just said, "Nuke it,
yeah, just destroy
Sounds
it.
about
right.
Just get rid of
set
it.
it on fire."
So snakes are a good source of food. They're usually not too hard to catch, except for the black racers. I mean, I prefer to eat something else.
I'd be
but
too terrified.
I have nightmares about snakes.
I've certainly eaten worse than snake, so I wouldn't mind eating snake. But I don't know. My two big things that I really don't care for are roaches and maggots. Not that I haven't tried them, but those are just like the two ooh things to me.
Like,
Why would you try a roach? Why would you even try
I don't
that?
know. I mean, look at the
That-
people on Fear Factor that used to put the Madagascar hissing cockroaches in their
Yeah.
mouth.
yeah.
Like, how many can you put in your mouth before you freak out?
Oh,
Do you know how many episodes I watched of Fear Factor?
No.
None.
none.
About
What?
3
So-
minutes of
That
one.
was a
So-
great show. That's a
Steve,
classic.
No.
Steve, now that we're on the topic of food,
Yes.
I
I see it keeps revolving to that with you. You must be a lot like me. You're a foodie at heart.
Reed hasn't
so
had dinner yet.
now that we're on the topic of food, can you talk us through some survival training that might entail catching food?
Okay, so we normally go with foraging. We don't go with catching, trapping, or hunting. If you definitely not hunting in a survival situation. You don't have the calories or the time for hunting. Foraging is your best bet because there's so much stuff readily available that you can walk, pick, eat while you're going. I mean,
Right.
that's how the natives did it for centuries, and that's the best and easiest way to do it. Now, if you want some non-plant-based proteins, the easiest way to do that is going to be to catch grasshoppers. Early in the morning when they're real cold is the easiest time to get them. You just get a branch off of a tree and use it like a swatter and stun them, and then you grab them and you put a bunch of them. You get like a piece of straw, you know, the grass that has a little Y that grows up in the yard, something like that, or a reed or something. What you do is you grab them by the backside and you grab them by the head, and you pull the head off of it, and all the guts will come out with it, and then you put a bunch of them on a straw, like a shish kebab kind of. And if you don't put them all on that piece of straw, what happens is when you put them next to the fire to roast them, their little legs will start contracting with the heat, and they'll kick and either end up in the fire or out of the fire, away from it. But you always want to cook even grasshoppers and crickets, because even little insects like that can have parasites that can give you dysentery. And that, of course, is diarrhea for the people that don't understand what dysentery is, which leads to dehydration and death. So we cook everything that we can possibly cook, except for plant-based stuff. And if like cattails, we eat cattails. But if you pull it from the water, we recommend roasting it, because if it has that water on it, now water has bacteria or viruses, you're going to get the dysentery.
I'm gonna die.
So you even roast those.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna die.
Then you can go into snare traps and Paiute deadfall traps or figure 4 traps
Do
to
you do
catch
that?
small game. Yes, we do that. We do. We can do both deadfall traps or snare traps. You'll make a funnel for a snare trap, and for deadfall traps, you can. Cody Lundeen taught me a really cool trick. He said, if you don't have like a old candy wrapper or some kind of food that you can use for bait, he said just take the oils from your nose. Rub them all over your fingers and then rub them on the bait stick. Because
Really?
some animals are really curious, like coons, squirrels, little things like that, rats especially, and rodents are really curious about different smells. And if they come up there just to investigate it and they bump that trigger stick, then offsets your trap and you got something to eat. So trapping is definitely a good thing to do in survival. Hunting, definitely not. You can do pit traps, you can do snares, you can do deadfalls, lots of options. Your best bet is going to be foraging. And then if you're going to trap, we always say set at least 10 traps per person. Take the time, whittle out your figure 4 stuff, or whittle, get all your snare stuff ready, and then go set about 10 traps minimum per person. If you have 1 or 2 traps and neither one of them catch anything, you're not gonna eat. if you're depending on that. So the
Right.
more traps you set, the higher your odds are to actually catch something. And don't use all the same kind of trap. You know, it might not work all the same. So
I just asked because I am a hunter. I do hunt, but I've tried to bushcraft traps.
Mhm.
Because we have rabbits where
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
at. I have 32 acres, and we have rabbits where I'm at, but
snares are great.
it does
for
not
rabbits.
work.
Yeah.
I cannot catch shit.
You told me that there was something that happened to you when you went out hunting. Was it? Did you forget? You didn't go all the way to the deer stand and forget your bow. That was another friend of mine.
No, that's not me.
What was it?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Uh,
You had an embarrassing freaking story you told me about. I don't remember what it is.
He was drinking beers on his deer stand, and
are
he
you
fell
talking
out.
about the hornet?
I
the
think
hornet
so.
thing?
I think it was the hornet thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a hornet nest in the tree stand, and I threw sticks at it to knock it down.
How'd that
And
work out for you?
I got up there.
With your intention to knock it down.
Yeah, I knocked it down, and then I got up there, and then all the hornets came back to their nest, and they were very angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I battled hornets for about
Yeah.
20 minutes, and then got out of there. Thank
Yeah.
God. I
so
almost fell out.
So that'll definitely make somebody fall out of a tree stand. Little stuff like I've seen videos where bears climb up the tree that somebody's
yeah,
gonna
did
stand
you see
in.
the one with the guy sitting in the deer stand and the bear? He looks down and all of a sudden he's looking up. It's like it's seconds.
Yeah.
It was
I
all
have
the way
Black
up and
bears
over.
are fast. They
That
can
was
run fast. They
insane.
can climb fast. They're,
What
they're
do we have
nuts.
black bears here?
Oh yeah, lots of
Right.
black bears.
Really? A lot of
Yeah.
them? In Ocala?
Ocala's
Yes.
tons of them in the Ocala National
Really?
Forest. I live out by Lake Catherine
I had
in the
no idea.
Ocala National Forest, and they relocate a lot of the bears that they have to trap and move out there by the area that I'm at. FWC does, and so we have a really dense bear population out there.
Really?
They're
That
not
is-
too
that's
bad, though,
crazy.
right? The black bears?
I mean,
Are
just
they a
as-
nuisance? Like, do they come bother you guys or whatever?
They have eaten one of them. Okay, I'm not a big fan of black bears. They knocked down the only peach tree that I have that actually gave
Oh,
me
no.
full of peaches last year.
Oh, man.
He didn't. I mean, he couldn't be considerate and just pick all the peaches he wanted off of it. He just knocked the whole thing down.
I'd
and ate
kill
all my
for a
peaches.
peach tree in my backyard.
Oh, I
That sounds
was
amazing.
So frustrated. But yeah, they eat all the deer corn. I mean, there's just a bear being a bear.
Yeah.
You know, but I hope they'll have another season on them. There are so many of them out there.
Dude, the first
Um,
season was awesome.
Well, I think where they made a mistake on that is, they said, hey, we're only going to allow so many of them,
Mm.
but instead of doing tags like they do for gators, where they knew exactly how many of them could be got, they just said, when it gets to this number, we'll tell everybody to stop. How do you
Right.
get that message out to everybody?
Yeah,
Get them to
right.
Stop in time, So hopefully they'll do it again and do something like a tag, just like they do for gators, to where they know, no more than this many will be taken and harvested, and that'll hopefully keep the population down because they're getting pretty bad. I know for a while up in Juniper Springs in the Ocala National Forest, they had most of the trails and stuff closed because there was a couple of nuisance bears, and that's just the bears that get too used to people. They get,
Right.
they're not afraid of people. When I see a bear that just watches me and is not afraid of me at all,
That's
then
a problem.
That's a problem.
So you have close encounters with bears. I mean, y'all have bears there regularly.
Pretty regularly.
So has there been any
Close calls.
like close calls? Yeah, I mean,
Personally, yes. During a course, no. We set up bear bell sometimes. I usually put lots of smells around the camp that they won't like, and then we always take some kind of precaution out there just in case.
What kind of smells do they not like?
Mothballs is a good one.
Oh, really?
Yep. They don't like the smell.
I
of
heard that
mothballs
moths
at
don't
all.
like them either.
No, they don't like mothballs.
Oh, that's
You know what else
that's
doesn't like them?
interesting.
Snakes and spiders.
really?
Really?
Yeah, for you guys that are terrified of snakes and spiders.
I should have invested in
You're
that
just,
years
you're just
ago.
Gonna smell like mothballs for the rest of your
It
life.
is what it is.
As long as snakes and spiders
Smelled
don't
like
fuck with
cigarettes
me,
for 40 years.
yeah.
I might as well smell like mothballs for the next 40.
I don't know that spiders don't like the smell. I don't know if spiders can smell or not smell.
Me
I
neither.
don't know if that's a thing, but they always said that it definitely works for keeping snakes and spiders out. And I know snakes can smell, so yeah, mothballs. It's a magical trick.
I need a notepad.
Don't snakes
would-
actually smell through their tongue?
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
never-
I think that's a thing.
I
I think
think that's a
I've heard
thing.
that before.
I've never asked one.
No, man, I've never had a conversation with a snake before.
He
I
has
would-
plenty of conversations with snakes, but not,
Yeah.
I guess not about.
Oh yeah. Well, I found one the other night, and I was out working on the property, and I picked it up, and I did a video for her, and like I was Steve Irwin, and I was like, "Oh, it's a beauty," it had this beautiful bright orange color on the bottom of it, and then she sends me a video of her just shaking her head like, "Nope." Nope. So yeah, there's
Not a fan.
Yeah.
Nope.
She just nope. Nopes or spiders, nope ropes or snakes.
Yep.
So not a
Set
fan
it
of
on
either.
fire.
Yeah.
Nuke it.
Yep.
My buddy Joe, who's been on the podcast quite a bit, he had I want to say she was like 9 or 10 feet long. It was like
Always big
python
boa?
or whatever. She was
I think it was a
called her
boa.
Priscilla.
I used to have
She was,
a-
he'll correct me. He listens. He'll call me and be like, "Oh, Colombian red-tailed boa,
Yeah,
that was
I
it.
think it was a boa.
Aha!
Of some sort. Yeah.
Priscilla."
I had an 8.5 foot Burmese python when I was younger.
That is
It was
crazy.
pretty awesome.
That was crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Joe's wife made him get rid of it when they had kids because she didn't want it to eat the baby.
That's
Pretty
logical. Yep.
If that's kind of a prerequisite with a pet,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good pet.
I mean, look how many dogs can just, in one instant turn and snap. Most dogs are peaceful. They're normal.
But you can train a dog. You can't train a snake.
You can, but anything can change an animal in an instant. Look at horses. Look
That's
at any
true.
animal you want. Anything can make it think that something's a threat and completely just change it. You never know.
I loved watching the guys that
I
try
would,
to
I would
run
much rather like be around a little wiener dog than I would a boa constrictor.
Yeah.
You know who used to have a little wiener dog?
Who?
Reed. You know how I know that?
Because he probably
We're
told
we're
you.
gonna do this one again.
Because he told me a story a little while ago involving a wiener dog pulling him. on a skateboard. What happened?
I guess we'll go back through it. So, I had some friends over. Had to go.
How old were you?
14.
14.
Had to give the dog a walk, and the dog loved to just pull you on a skateboard. So, hooked him up on the leash. Away we went. But it was nighttime, and I didn't notice the differences in the sidewalk. So, when I was riding the skateboard, we hit the ledge, and I went flying off.
And what happened when you flew off?
Well, I put my hands out, because
Yeah.
you want to stop yourself.
Right.
And
Just
then-
just get some road rash?
Well, no.
No?
No. One of them went crack, and my arm went like this to the side.
For those of you who cannot see what he just did,
It's about a 45-degree angle.
His arm completely went the wrong direction.
And the moral of the story is don't follow your wiener.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a good one.
Use your brain.
Use your brain. Don't follow the wiener.
Yeah.
See, as a man, that's a really hard suggestion to follow.
Yeah.
But So yeah, I wanted him to retell it because Matt was thoroughly disgusted by the description earlier. So
Yeah. Of the gore of the arm break or the hand
Right.
yeah,
hand
the arm break.
Oh, he didn't even talk about the resetting.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Tell him about the
that's-
resetting.
All right. So a week later, I went to the doctor to get the cast put on, right? And
A week?
yeah, it took a week. So the doctor says, all right, well, it looks like we're going to have to reset your arm because your bones have grown back in an odd shape. So my
Had to
mom walks
re-break
out
it.
of the doctor's office, and doctor says, all right, you ready? And I said, well, can you give me some shots or something? Let's numb it up.
No,
He said, no, you'll be all right. You'll be all right.
For the soul.
So he took my arm, and he just ripped it apart and just put it back together again. It was a pretty painful experience.
But it made a cool story.
It did make a cool story.
Yeah. Our dog jumps off of the kayak and pulls me in the kayak down the river. Yep.
Watch out for rocks.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think I got to worry about hitting those. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about the waterways in Florida, though, man. If you're stuck out there, like, I'd be worried about gators and stuff like that. Like,
I grew up around them, so I
Yeah.
mean, they're dangerous, but usually when and why. So if you don't do anything to agitate them, we swim in the same river
I
that
don't
gators
know
are in,
that.
that you can see them.
I don't know any of that.
right there across the water.
Have
So-
you gone down the Silver Springs?
Yeah, we do Silver River a lot. We live
Oh,
right
yeah.
there in
Silver
Ocala,
River.
so we do guided kayak tours, and that's one of the most popular ones. There's manatees, monkeys.
Yeah, the
gators,
monkeys. That's what I
all
was getting
kinds
at,
of-
Oh,
man.
you got to stay away from the monkeys.
Yeah,
Are
stay away
they
from the monkeys. They got herpes.
Big crowd?
So
Big crowd of monkeys?
So you never know if you're going to see them or not. It's depends on if they're next to the water that day, and it depends on there might be a group of them here and then a group of them over there, or you might not see them at all. So you never know.
They're big monkeys.
Some of them, they're from babies all the way up.
Yeah,
It's
some
just,
of them are babies.
In
I mean,
Ocala?
my girlfriend.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
My girlfriend
that's right. I
Courtney.
did hear about- I did know about
she's
that.
been on the show a few times, but she's a hydrologist and she went to UF for hydrology and stuff like that. So she spent a lot of time on the springs, and she would just be out there on a canoe, and there would just be one big ass monkey and then 3 or 4 little baby monkeys, and they'd all just be sitting there right next to her, just staring at her what are you doing?
They're adorable, but definitely don't get close to the monkeys.
My wife's grandfather grew up in this area, and when he was, little, 2 years old, not 2 to 4, 6, something like that. But he used to go to Silver Springs as a kid, and he would sell bags of boiled peanuts or roasted peanuts, and he would tell the people that would ride the boats, whatever you do, don't give the monkeys any of the boiled peanuts. They don't like them, and they'll throw them back at you.
They'll throw other stuff at you too. That you
I
don't want 'em to
hear that.
throw. Yeah, monkeys are known for.
Are you talking about poop?
Yeah, it's possible. Why take the risk? Risk mitigation, right? Don't take unnecessary risks.
Would it be better to be lost out in the middle of nowhere here, or say up north somewhere where it's a little cooler?
Say Wisconsin.
Everywhere's got its own ups and downs, man. Here you battle the heat and humidity. Up there,
Yeah.
you're going to battle freezing cold temperatures sometimes of the year, and still mosquitoes in other times of the year. So, each one's going to be totally different. I did a lot of my training out in Arizona.
Yeah,
And,
that's gotta be
you know,
brutal.
you would think, oh man, desert and mountains, and it was
Yeah.
it was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was great. Plenty of food to eat that you can find. Plenty
In the
of
desert?
water. Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
What kind of things are you eating in the desert?
Cattail. There's plenty of cattail to eat.
Cattail. What is that?
It's a plant that grows in or near the water.
You know what
Okay.
I'm
cattail
sure you've
is.
seen them in the retention ponds. It looks like it has a corn dog on the end
Oh,
of the
okay.
thing.
Yeah.
You don't eat that part.
Don't eat.
You don't eat that part?
Don't eat the corn dog part.
That's the part I'd think you'd eat.
No, not at all. Not at all.
What do you eat?
That's
I
a
would think corn dog, and I'd just be like, oh man, I'm gonna tear into that.
put some mustard on that thing. So imagine eating, you know what a dandelion is, right?
Yeah.
It's a little fluff ball on the end of it.
Right.
Imagine thousands of those compressed into a tight ball is what it's going to be like if you bit into the end of that corn dog. It's just dry
Ugh.
seed pods. That are
I
all
can
compressed together.
actually
Imagine
feel
that.
what that would taste like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, seriously, again, I'm just thinking about putting a little bit of mustard on there and eating that.
Now you could grind those things into some type of a meal or a flour and make something out of it, but that's not the part that we eat in survival. What we eat is if you take the stalks that don't have one of those corn dog looking things growing out of it, the ones that are just the leaves, you
Right.
spread out the outer 2 on each side, all the way down to the bottom, and then you pull up the center stalk. There's a white piece on the bottom of that that's about 6 inches to a foot long, and that's the part that you're going to eat.
How do you learn this kind of stuff?
You train with lots of people. You
Yeah.
can do research, but I recommend hands-on.
Yeah.
Hands-on is going to be the best way. And train with.
If I were to do hands-on, I would probably be dead right now because I would eat something I wasn't supposed to.
Don't eat anything that we don't tell you to eat.
So, Steve, as far as the hands-on thing, what if I was going to take your course this weekend? What would I need to bring? What do I need to think about? What's up with that?
Okay, so advice from Steve if you're going to do a survival course. As soon as students pay, we send them a gear list, and we also send medical waivers and other information from them too, so we can review, if they have any allergies.
If you die,
any
it's
type
not
of-
my fault.
Oh, absolutely. if a bear eats you, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
So we thoroughly review their medical history and any kind of medical conditions they have, medications. I'm an emergency medical responder. Taylor's a nurse. And she goes out
That's
to every one of
convenient.
them that we can possibly do. So we take a lot of precautions. So
Right.
we send you the gear list. We make sure that you have everything squared away. I make sure people have my personal cell phone number so they can call if they have questions to get ready for the course.
And what sort of things would be on the gear list?
So a backpack, a good bag that can hold your stuff. You take a lot of modern gear, like on the Weekend Warrior. You take a lot of modern gear with you. You can't take lighters. There is contraband that you're not allowed to bring. Lighters, matches, any type of fire starter. No cell phones, tablets, watches, GPS. I teach people how to tell how many hours till it's going to be dark, so they don't need to have a watch on them. And it's a distraction too. So I want them to kind of go back in time a little bit and learn how to deal with life.
I like that.
In the wilderness if you don't have all this cool stuff. So we have the stuff for the comfort of making it through the weekend, but we teach you how to live without all that stuff. So most everything that we do is very primitive, and it's done just with a knife. So
Wow.
you have you can bring a flashlight. You can you're gonna have your sleeping bag. I have had people say, can I please bring a tent? I'm not sure if I'm gonna be comfortable sleeping out there. And for the people that are pretty confident that they need a tent to be able to sleep, I tell them, okay, you can bring a tent, because I'd rather them have a good night's sleep, or at least an okay night's sleep, than to be up the next day and that maybe got an hour or two of sleep and they're not able to focus and stuff like that. So
I'd need a
Pretty flexible.
queen size
it's
bed,
flexible.
maybe some AC.
We recommend things, but
something like that.
we're very sensible and logical in our approach to teaching. We're not a pot smoking drum circle of hippies, and at the same time, we're not like a drill instructor. It's not a testosterone filled competition of who can do the best survival.
Sure.
We're there to teach you some skills, have a really good time doing it. I always try to be really funny. It rarely works, but people get a good laugh at me trying to be funny. And I'm very passionate about what I do. So, and it shows when I do the course. People can tell that what I'm teaching is something I'm knowledgeable about. I don't teach things that I don't know. I don't try to fake it. I just stick to what I know, and I pass that information along in a way that people can retain it, and then take it home and teach the people that they know and they love what they've learned in a way that other people can kind of hook into these skills and keep them.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
That's badass.
I really like what you said about taking them back in time a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that's just a really cool thing to do. It's there's something about reconnecting with our environment that I think we really need to do more of. Some of the most beautiful times that I've ever had are times that I've just got into a spring or something like that, and I just lay there and look up at the trees, and it's like
Everything
you
else just
feel
fades away.
it just goes away.
Yeah.
It's just there's nothing around you, and then your kid's drowning, so you got to snap out of it
Yeah,
and
wake
grab
up.
them. But yeah, for those few moments, it's just
Nature
it's
heals.
amazing.
It's a great thing, and the
I
more
believe
research
that,
they do
too.
on it.
Yeah.
I volunteer with Tin Can. I was telling you about earlier,
Mhm.
and they're a network that takes veterans and first responders on outdoor recreational retreats for free to heal PTSD. And
you guys have a website for that too?
yeah, tincan.us.
Tincan.us.
Yep.
Make sure you go check that out. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. I'm actually going to bring that.
So they found that it's about 80% more effective to do PTSD therapy in nature. That it's just much more healing, and we take the families of the PTSD survivors as well. So there's secondary PTSD, and the families that have to deal with it. And what happens is, mom or dad's dealing with PTSD from stuff that happened in the military or law enforcement. They saw people die, they were in an explosion, whatever happened, but they don't talk about it to the family because they don't want the family to have to hear about those things and suffer and go through the feelings that they're going through. So they bottle it up and they put it in the emotional closet. And every time they add more to that closet, it gets harder and harder to shut that door until one day it opens up, everything comes flooding out, and they either have a breakdown, some of them commit suicide. So what we're trying to do is give them a safe environment to enjoy time with their family, to where they can talk about these things. We have them with people who have been through some of the same stuff, so that they can either talk to them about it or feel safe knowing that they're not the only one that's been through it, and they can either completely ignore the issue and just enjoy the weekend of peace and quiet, or they can talk about it and process it and get through it in a safe environment, and their family gets to spend time with them and bond with them without that barrier that's always there of what's dad not talking about, something's wrong with dad or something's wrong with mom. So nature heals, man.
That's an amazing thing
Whether
to
you're
do.
floating in the spring,
That's incredible.
You're
That's
blowing my
awesome.
mind, Steve. You're like blowing my mind. I
I'm
didn't
on-
even know these things existed.
I have my moments, man. I'm alright.
I actually just he actually has some brain fluid leaking out of his
Leaking
ear right now.
Taylor, you might want to take a look at that. So nature does heal. You can be in the springs. Have you ever sat and just stared at a fire and just realized how your mind goes
all the
blank?
time.
And you
All
can,
the time.
You can maybe you'll think about stuff and it just kind of flows and you can process, but you forget about everything else. You're just watching the fire and your brain's doing its thing. And fire, is since
especially
the
like
dawn
that
of
blue
man.
fire, right at the bottom, it's.
As a matter
Oh,
of
yeah,
fact,
yeah.
there was a thing on Netflix that was just a fire.
You
and
could just watch the
I
fire.
I had actually just watched it. It
Was
just
What's it
sat
like on
there
TV
and-
versus reality?
Was it the Christmas fire?
Well, it was at the time I didn't have a fireplace or anything like that, so
Yeah.
it was all I had. But
Let me put on the fire.
I did one day. I caught myself I don't know why I put it on. And I was like, this is really soothing. This is
It
nice.
is. Since
It's
the dawn of-
definitely you can't beat
Yeah.
sitting out at a fire.
You can't. You can't. It's therapeutic. You know?
yeah.
Just floating in the spring, sitting out in nature, and just
Yeah.
listening to all the sounds and not all the chaos.
Yeah.
But fire, since we've known fire, has meant lots of things to us: safety, security, food, light. comfort.
One of the things that I hear a lot on all these survivalist shows, I hear it's like a common thread of people saying, "This is how we're meant to live."
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why it just feels so
Our
natural.
bodies were designed for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's using the bathroom. We weren't designed to sit on a toilet to use the
Yeah.
bathroom. We were designed to squat down and use the bathroom. That's what lines up your colon and makes it, to where the poop flows out easily. Look at
Yeah.
the squatty potty.
That's
Right.
why I stand on the
example.
seat.
Yes. There you go. There you go.
I'm pretty sure I was designed to sit on a toilet because I
God.
do it
Yeah.
all
Well,
the time.
you adapted to sit on a toilet. 'Cause that's what you were taught. But yeah, our bodies were we were designed to be in nature.
Yeah.
We're smart, so we can find other comforts and better ways to do things. But we were designed that way, and it's when you get back to it, you feel that connection. You're there. It's a beautiful thing. Nature. It's healing. It's beautiful, and I mean, there's lots of cool sayings. One of my favorite one is, you won't find Wi-Fi in the wilderness, but I guarantee you'll get a better connection.
Yeah.
And it's true. You go out there and you can connect with yourself. You can process your thoughts, think about the things that are going on in your life, or just don't think about them and enjoy it and just have some peace and quiet.
One of the funny things, I'm a glamper. I got a camper out there. It's,
We do that. We do
it's-
glamping.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love doing it. But I belong to some groups on Facebook. There's some conversations back and forth, and one of the funniest things I
It's
always
him
see,
and Oprah Winfrey.
me and
Oh.
Oprah.
No.
One of the funniest things I see is people getting on there and they always ask, "Oh, I need a Wi-Fi boost. Is there any what's a good Wi-Fi?" And it's like what's
So
about to
sad.
happen is that now everybody's gonna get on there and comment, "Oh, you don't need Wi-Fi in the woods," and that's it's like 100 comments. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. You see
And
it
they're
coming.
right. They're right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You don't, but I always feel bad for the people that get on there and say that. I'm like,
Yeah.
here it comes.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it always does.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think there's something magic about just being out there, looking up at the stars and,
Oh. When you got a clear night and there's
it's
no moon
the
and you can see the
best.
stars, no light pollution. Oh,
Yeah.
we live up in Orange Springs. Our farm's out in Ocklawaha, but
Mm.
we live up in Orange Springs, and it is beautiful out there. When there's a big, huge area. There's a lake, and when there's no clouds and the stars are out, it's just amazing what you
Yeah.
can see up there.
Yeah, it
So-
really is.
Do y'all have any advanced classes?
We do. We do have a 7-day advanced class. You learn everything that's in the Weekend Warrior, plus some basic flint napping, a little bit of weaving, trapping.
Now, what is flint napping?
It's making a discoidal blade using rocks, basically.
Okay.
You're using a piece of flint and a hammer stone, and you're making just a sharp edge that you could use for cutting.
Wow.
Your two most important tools in survival. Anyone want to take a guess at what those might be?
I'm going to guess
knife,
fire.
A cutting edge and a way to make fire.
Yeah.
Those are your two most important tools. Those are the harder things to craft than
You
anything
guys
else.
are so smart. You guys got that like right
right off the
like
bat.
just
It's
boom.
right here, buddy.
First
It was a
guesses.
guess.
right
It was
here.
a total guess.
Your number one is a knife, because if you have a cutting edge, then you can
Right.
make a friction set to make fire.
Yeah.
But if you don't have some type of a cutting edge or blade, then it's a lot harder to manufacture one that you can do some real hard work with.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably make a discoidal blade using flint if you can find some good flint, but it's not a lot of good flint that's native to Florida at all.
Right.
So you're gonna have a difficult time finding it. Bone you can sharpen a little bit to where you can do some stuff with it, but it's not going to be great for, great knife work compared to what you're used to. You're going to spend a lot more time cutting and sawing and doing stuff. So a knife is super important, and then after that would be a way to make fire. But like I said, if you have a knife, you can create friction sets and things. So back to the advanced course, you have 4 days to learn all the stuff that's in the course, all the information. The first 4 days are spent education, just
Right.
learning, packing all that information into your brain, practicing. The last 3 days, at the end of the fourth day, you abandon all your modern gear. We put it on ropes and hang it up over the trees and leave it there. And then we hike out with minimal.
So Yogi Bear doesn't get it.
Yes, so that the bears don't. So there's less likelihood of the bears getting it. Sometimes you can't prevent. We haven't had it happen yet, knock on wood, but there's less likelihood that a bear can get it if you have it way up there and hanging off of a branch somewhere.
So you're not bringing a knife with you.
No, you don't bring your knife. You bring the blade that you make with you.
Oh, sweet.
The only thing that you're allowed to bring that's remotely technological or from your modern gear is your sleeping bag and or 2 wool blankets and your flashlight, because
Wow.
I don't want people tripping or falling at night if they get up to use the bathroom or whatever else. That's about
What
the
if the
extent.
flashlight is a rechargeable light?
What
Well,
if-
how do you recharge it?
why would you bring a rechargeable light if you don't have a way to recharge it?
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I mean, if you brought a
I think
solar
you're SOL.
panel, maybe you could, but I mean,
But you said that that's going to be hung up in the tree somewhere. So
They
Yogi
make
Bear
those
doesn't
flashlights
get
that
it.
you just shake them.
then you're just gonna have
And
to
then you
ration your
turn them on.
Like a flashlight?
Yeah.
No,
no.
not at all
Am
like
I,
that.
Am I
No.
going the wrong
No.
way
Yes.
with it?
We're way
Alright.
left field.
All right.
So don't bring a rechargeable flashlight unless it's one of the ones that have the hand crank on it that you can
The
know,
hand
crank
cranks
it.
work.
I'm not going to walk. I'm not going to want to walk around like with like a case of like double C batteries. Or something like
Well,
that.
it's not. You're not
So-
going to need it that long.
You can't bring double C batteries.
Yeah, I don't think there is a double C battery, but
Good point.
So if you haven't been flashlight shopping in a while,
I'm
there's,
glad one of us caught that.
there's lots of flashlights that take one AA battery that will last a long time.
True story.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of advancements in modern flashlights.
Especially like a
that-
little headlamp or
Yeah.
something like that. I would
There's-
imagine would be
There's
pretty
some
good.
that you can use one AA battery and it'll last for about 3 or 4 hours, but it puts out like 12 to 1,500 lumens. It's a lot of light, but you don't need that. You just need enough light to see around you. So there's plenty of ways that you can take a good flashlight, one backup battery, and you're good to go.
So what's going to happen on the last
So-
3 days?
So
of
the
this
last 3 days of
advanced
this
tour?
advanced course, let's get back into the field, the infield.
Mm.
The last 3 days you practice the skills that you've learned and using nothing but the tools that you've made. So I'm there supervising.
And how
you're-
far in do you guys hike?
from the base camp where we started at?
Right.
Far enough away to where people aren't tempted to go back to their gear.
Like, would you say
A
like
mile.
It depends on the terrain. So it depends
Yeah.
on where we're going. Sometimes it might be a mile. Sometimes it might be several. If it's too flat, it'd be easier for them to get back. So
right?
I don't want that temptation there.
Mhm.
So we hike far enough away to where I know they're not tempted to go back to their modern gear, try to sneak over there in the middle of the night and get into their snacks or whatever else. And honestly, I don't want them going back and being
That's
able
this
to
guy
find
right
it too
here.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point is for you to go through this in a practical way
Right.
and experience living off the land.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gross.
And if you're going to cheat yourself, then you're only cheating yourself.
Man, he makes a good
Yes,
point.
Man, Captain Obvious here. If you're cheating yourself, you're only cheating yourself. So the words of wisdom from Survival Steve. All right. So you're living off the land for the last 3 days under my guidance and supervision.
Yeah.
I'm still there. You can check with me. Hey, this is the plant we learned, right? Yeah, that's the plant we learned. Hey guys, check this out. I see something over here that I want to show you guys that we didn't see earlier this week.
Mhm.
So it's living off the land for the last 3 days, practicing the things that you've learned, using the tools that you've made, and it just adds to that story that you're going to take home too. So not only did you learn all this stuff, you practiced it, but now you're going to feel way more confident. So you do the Weekend Warrior course, you learn the skills, you know that you have the skills, and you know what you need to do in that situation. Should you be in a survival situation, emergency survival situation, but if you do the advanced course, you learn a little bit more. And then you're 100% confident. Not only do I know I can do this, I have done this. I have literally lived off the land for 3 days. I know I can do it. If you can do it for 3 days, you can do it longer than that.
Is it rough?
I would say no. Is it comfortable? No. I mean, you can't take.
Come on, you're talking to survivalist Steve
yeah.
right now.
What I
Come on,
mean,
is
what I
it
mean is
rough?
that
It's an experience. I don't think people are focused on the misery of it. I think they're more excited about getting through it and succeeding.
yeah, that
doing
makes
doing
sense.
good,
That
excelling
makes
at
sense.
it. The whole goal is to learn this stuff, and the people that sign up for it, they know what they're signing up for.
Sure.
So the goal is to get through it. So is it comfortable? Sometimes no. Sometimes it might have its downsides. If it's raining, it's the worst. Because then you're
So
just.
do you do it rain or shine though?
But yeah, once we schedule a course, it's on rain or shine.
Wow.
Yeah, it's there.
How much does that suck though? Having to be out there in the rain like that.
It's sucky. They're allowed to take 2 big large trash can liners with them,
Mhm.
and that's what they use as a poncho or to keep their whatever they make and bring with them dry. They can cut it up and use it for improvised shelter. They can do what they want with it, but they get 2 large trash bags that they can
You
bring.
ever
with
had
them.
anybody say, oh, "Come on, man, I just got to go back. I can't deal with this."
So
What do you do with that?
I have had 2 students that in the middle of the course said they needed to go back. One of them I think snuck his phone and had some drama going on. And
What were the reasonings?
he said he had already done most of this stuff before and he just wanted to come out and be there with his family, but didn't want to
Oh
stick
my
around and
God.
do it. And so the downside of this is if I have one student that needs to go back, I can't let that student go back all the way to where we started from
Right.
by themselves.
Yeah, take everybody
But
back.
it's dangerous to leave everybody else there. So I have to interrupt the whole class to escort this person back. So I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I was
Once
going to
people
say, can
come
you just
out-
have a policy that says like, "Hey,
Yep.
man,
Once you're
you're
there,
in, you're in."
You're there. We don't escort you out. If you want an out, you've got to call emergency.
Wow.
You use my
That's-
phone. I take my phone out there, and they're going to have to call an emergency to extract them from the field because
That's
we're not
smart.
going to. I'm not going to jeopardize everybody else's safety to escort one other person out.
That's
makes
the
sense.
real deal.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
Yep. Well, I don't think it's unreasonable. You knew
Not
what you
at
were
all.
getting into when you came out, and
Yeah.
if you're not committed to it, then don't do it. You
Yep.
know, it's not for everybody, and we do for people that don't want to stay out overnight or don't want to do a whole weekend or an advanced course. We do crash courses where we do a day hike, and I go out ahead of time and harvest all the materials, set everything up to where all they got to do is kind of put it together. And we can do it all in one day, less than a whole day. We can do a crash course in survival. Costs a little bit more because I'm spending all the time doing the material coverage, and I don't have as many people, so we can't mitigate the cost by saying, well, we'll just divide it up amongst all these people.
Right.
But we can do a lot more in a day than people would expect. So if they don't want to do the whole weekend or the whole advanced course, just know your limits, you know?
How prepared are people by and large, just average citizen? How prepared do you think people are for
I would say
if the shit hit the fan, for lack of a better word?
yeah, most people not.
Yeah.
I would say probably at least 95, maybe a little less than that, are not prepared for some kind of a thing to happen. In Florida, all right, so we do disaster preparedness consultations for people that want to, start prepping or start being prepared on a budget. And what we realize in Florida is people that prepare for a hurricane are prepared for multiple things across the board. If you've got
Right.
3 weeks worth of food, water, gasoline stored away with stabilizer in it for your generator, all this stuff, then you're prepared for something like a surprise pandemic.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no toilet paper on the shelf. Well, that's cool because I
How
was prepared
funny
for
is
a
that gonna
hurricane and
be
now
if-
I've got
if-
toilet paper.
If the world goes crazy and Florida is the ones
Did make it?
standing, like,
Yeah.
hey guys,
Well, I mean, we're
Florida man, y'all didn't see that coming, did you?
we're kind of tough people. In
Florida man
man
shall inherit the
We-
earth.
We deal with a lot of stuff that other states don't have to. I mean, other states have their different things. Snowstorms. We don't know
Yeah.
how to deal with that. But what's the likelihood of us getting a snowstorm here? But they're still prepared to be snowed in for several days without
Yeah.
assistance. And
I
not
still
having
think
power.
we'd be all right. I think
Yeah.
we'd be just fine.
So if you're prepared for one thing, you're prepared for multiple things across the board, whether it be a pandemic, an economic collapse, a government collapse. I mean, I've had people come up with crazy scenarios, and I'm saying, well, still just make sure you have this on standby. Make sure you have that. So people say, oh, I got, lots of gold, and I've got gold bars and gold coins. Well, that's not going to do you any good. When you need a couple cans of soup, are you going
Yeah.
to trade a gold coin for a couple cans of soup?
Yeah.
No, you need something more tradable, like, alcohol,
Booze.
medication, ammunition.
Yeah, what kind
Yeah.
of tree does Jack Daniels grow off of?
That's it's a corn tree, I think. Is it a corn or
It's
rye?
a corn tree. You're
Is
right.
it- Is it rye or corn? I don't know.
It's
what
corn.
kinda- yeah, there you go. Corn tree. So you need tradable commodities, but I mean, if something happened, I would say, sadly, the majority of people are not prepared, and they just want to depend on the government. And
How do you think? And this
Boo.
is kind of a morbid thing, but we're just talking doomsday scenario.
Mhm.
Doomsday, like
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
End of days. Nothing you can do to avoid
What's
it.
what's the percentage of people you think make it? Is there a point in front of it?
Wow, you're right. That was like
Yeah.
a really dark kind of a question. That was
Because I'm going with like a 0.4 or something. I mean,
You got to look
there's
at
a
it
lot
like
of
this.
people.
Is it the asteroid that completely covers the Earth with
I
dust
don't know.
and wipes out all of life, and there's nothing you can do unless you've got $1 million underground bunker?
I
Or is
mean,
it
I think things like what are some of the better, like the solar flares that knock out all of the EMPs that knock out
okay.
all the electricity? That's one.
You can do.
I think
they-
that'd be it'd just be chaos in the streets.
They can do atmospheric detonation of nuclear devices that'll throw out EMPs
Yeah,
as well, and
yeah.
then they can actually make EMP.
I've done
bombs.
that before. It's not all that
I'm
fun.
sure.
Nick,
Yeah.
y'all are going
What's-
to be running to my house.
What's it called? Bear what? Bear caught.
Bear caught.
I'm calling bear caught on that.
Bear
one.
caught.
Bear
I
caught.
think you just made that up,
Dude, that's a thing. That's a thing.
so.
We're
all right,
gonna
so
get some
EM
responses on that.
He also
EMPs.
convinced me that waffle was a real disc golf move at one point.
Well,
which
it is
not.
for me.
But it's your signature.
It's real to me.
I'm sorry. Didn't realize. So the EMP.
EMP. So from what I've done in research, to protect your electronics from an EMP, they have to be in a Faraday cage, or
Yeah,
some kind of completely
yeah.
surrounded metal cage that is grounded.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a trash can. A lot of people insulate a trash can and use that to make sure that the stuff's not touching the metal. If there's some insulation in there, if there's foam, whatever
Preferably
you want.
copper, actually.
Yeah.
Isn't it copper?
But nowadays,
Preferably
everything's
some
got
kind of metal.
electronics in
Some
it,
kind of
though.
metal's good.
I mean, they say most cars wouldn't even work
Everything.
just based on the electronics.
Most of them
You can use a
You know.
microwave.
Something old with a carburetor is going to be great.
Yeah,
A
you
microwave.
can
microwave,
You can make a microwave into a Faraday cage.
Some people use ammunition cans or big munition cans. So, I mean, that's to protect your electronics. So the main thing I think you need to protect is going to be some type of communication devices.
Sure.
People don't know what to do when they can't communicate.
Yeah.
Two-way radios are going to be the best. They make some really cheap, great ones.
Ham radios.
Yeah, the Baofeng radios.
Well, I have said that if
Super efficient.
in a end time scenario that I will, as God is my witness, I will find a ham radio and I will continue Porchville.
You don't, wait, you
So
don't
even
have,
in the apocalypse, there will be
Goals.
Porchville.
Goals and priorities, huh?
That's right. That's
you don't
right.
have a ham radio?
I got 5 acres that we're gonna go to out in Hawthorne.
I got
you
plenty
know.
of people that can get you ham radio certified and get
Perfect.
you set up, man.
Perfect. Just
so
in case, because I want to keep Porchville rolling.
EMP, everything goes out. People are going to start leaning on government. Government's going to have to go back to some type of analog communication,
Mhm.
and I'm sure they've got contingencies for
Sure.
that kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't want to depend on the government. I don't want to depend on my neighbors. I don't want
Amen.
to depend on anyone but myself and what I can control and what I can do. And that's the
Right.
whole part of being a prepper. It's
Amen.
not that you're crazy. It's that you want to be responsible for your
Yeah.
own well-being and that of your families.
I always like to say I want to be prepared for if, rather than not be prepared for when.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to be caught with the pants around the ankles and
And it's not a bad investment.
You
Most
know.
of the stuff that you invest in is going to last a really long time. And if
Right.
you do groceries, like say your canned goods and stuff, you can store those in a way that you can rotate them out and use
Mhm.
them, so that you're not throwing that money away.
Yeah.
You can, and if you don't want to do that, then you can donate and buy more if you got the expendable income to do that.
Now, do you do prepper training as well?
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
the consultations are. So
okay.
we come out and we kind of grade them and see where they're at. Help them, guide them in what direction to go. We can tell them where to buy stuff, where to avoid buying stuff because it's garbage or they're going to rip you off. We can even go so far as to go out and purchase everything for them for an hourly rate and get everything set up for them.
Oh man,
So we go
one-stop
from-
shop. That's
yeah,
awesome.
one-stop shop. That's
Do you have people that are trying? Are the bunkers still a thing? I know a couple years ago that was a big deal.
yeah. So there, unless you have a ton of expendable income,
Yeah.
bunker's just not a very sensible approach.
Right.
Freight containers, people did that for a while.
Yeah.
That's still a thing. But they're not too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But you can outfit
You can
a
get a
freight container.
Connex for about $1,500.
Yeah, plus delivery fee. And it's the Connex you get for $1,500 may not be as great as some of the more expensive ones. So $1,500 to $2,500 you can get a Connex.
If
There's
you're
still a
willing-
whole
yeah,
heck of a
yeah,
lot of
if you're willing
modifications.
to
Plus
do like a
delivery
little bit
fees.
of work on it,
Exactly.
you
That's
can-
where it comes into.
Yeah.
Putting the work and the time into it, and then buying the materials to fill it. Shelving, beds. You got to have some kind of air system in there to make sure you got airflow, and sanitation is going to be really important. People often overlook hygiene in preparation. They got their food, their water, their guns, their ammo.
Or if you
I'm-
want to
I'm ready to
poop,
go. Yeah, but what about hygiene and sanitation?
Yeah.
The easiest way to get sick is to stay dirty all the time.
Yeah.
How are you going to clean yourself?
Yep.
So people overlook things, and that's what we're there for, is to make
Yeah.
sure that they have all their ducks in a row and they got all their stuff taken care of.
That's pretty amazing. I mean,
Well, here's one for you. A lot of people forget about, like during hurricanes and stuff. We always say, get a couple of brand new toys for kids
Right.
or games and keep them put away.
Mhm.
So that if something happens and you don't have power or there's an emergency and you got to go down into the bunker, your kids have something to do because they don't know how to process the stress and trauma of what's going on. There's all these sudden changes. They don't know how to deal with it. Give them some
where's my
comfort items.
Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Where's my Wi-Fi?
Give them some comfort items.
Yeah.
Give them something to keep them focused and some kind of activity to do. Because number one, you don't want them in your hair while you're trying to figure all this out and do everything.
right.
But number two, they don't know how to say, I'm scared, something's wrong. Some of them will, but most of them are just going to try to figure it out on their own or do their own thing. So give them a comfort item or something to focus on or activities to do to help with the kids. So little things like that make a big difference.
that's a
lot
really
of
good
people don't
point
think about.
because me as an adult, I can take my freshly picked Jack Daniel's bottle that I just picked off the tree,
Corn tree.
and I can just sit on the couch
And
and
entertain
stare at the
yourself.
wall, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
But a kid, they can't,
They can't do that.
They
They
can't do that.
So you gotta have something for them, and little things and advice like that is what helps to make sure that people are thoroughly prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the prepping, now do you yourself prepare or
I do.
you
I
know,
do. Yep.
What scenarios are you concerned about?
So not the big ones. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of expendable income. So like nuclear, nothing I can do about that. You know,
Just ride it out.
hope for the best and hope I'm in an area
Just,
that's not really affected. Pandemic, I think I'm pretty covered there.
Yeah.
Economic collapse, I think I'm covered.
Mhm.
Government collapse, I'm covered. Hurricanes,
How
definitely
do you think
covered.
most people have
Civil
fared
War?
with the
Yeah, covered.
pandemic scenario that's playing
Well,
out?
I mean, look at the toilet paper situation. You know,
Oh
It just
my God, the
disappeared on the
toilet
shelves.
paper situation.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many other ways that you can clean your rear end
Mhm.
other than just toilet paper, and of all the things to
I
run to the
just don't
store and hoard,
understand why that happened.
you know, I want to say here's my conspiracy theory. Ready?
Yes,
The toilet paper company started it.
I believe it.
They
I
created the
totally
hype,
believe
a
it.
couple of Facebook posts. And
Better stock up.
bam, there it
Oh.
goes. You know, like all one of them had to do is get one picture of an empty shelf with like one or two things of toilet paper left, put it on there.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie. I heard about it on Facebook.
Who knows?
Like, oh, there's a toilet paper shortage. I was like, there is.
That's how everybody hears about everything.
I
now.
went down and got some toilet paper.
Social media.
There.
man.
I had to
yeah.
hear it from him.
Yeah.
I don't have a Facebook.
Social media.
I went down and got my toilet paper.
I'm basically his Facebook.
controls
It's
the way
weird.
people
I
think
always
now,
come and tell 'em
you know?
stuff.
We base our decisions off of what we see
Yeah.
on social media. Everybody panicked because they thought there was no toilet paper, and they ran to the store and bought all the toilet paper. But so that's an
I don't
example.
get it.
Look at when a hurricane comes. What do people run out and buy all of?
Gas.
Gas
My
and
God.
one more thing.
Water.
Water. All right. During a hurricane, what falls from the sky?
Gas.
Water.
Gasoline. It's all
Listen,
gasoline.
if gas is falling from the sky around you during a hurricane, I'm not hanging out around
Yeah, probably
you.
not the best idea.
I don't want to smell that.
That's
All
the
right,
damn
here-
truth. I never even thought about that, Steve.
Yeah. So I tell people all the time, don't panic and go out and buy all the bottle. You know, keep
Yeah.
some water stored away. I prefer the big Culligan jugs of water, like the 5
Get a
gallon
funnel.
jugs.
I've got 2 5-gallon jugs. I
could-
fill them up in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
You don't
if
even have
I'm
to
that,
get a funnel.
Yeah. If
you
I'm
can,
in there,
you can get
that's it.
so they make this thing called a water bob that you can put in the tub and fill with water, and it's like a big plastic container.
Oh
that's
yeah, it looks like a big
expandable.
body bag or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen
But
that.
It's, so it'll hold the water and keep it safe. You can keep a 5-gallon bucket or a 1-gallon bucket to refill and flush the tank with.
Yeah.
But we recommend not doing that too much because it puts a strain on the city. If you're in the city, puts a strain on their systems because their pumps aren't running without
Mhm.
electricity. But back to the water thing. So you can dig a hole in the yard and put a tarp down in that hole, and use that to collect rainwater.
Yeah.
You know, water falls from the sky. Don't
It's-
panic
it's-
and go out and buy all the water. It's a little bit of work. You know,
It's
so
called rain.
yeah, it's called rain.
We're
You know,
we're gonna be okay.
people panic and think there's not going to be any
wait,
water.
Wait, what's this work?
Yeah, well, so it's a little bit of work
What is
to
that word
dig,
you're
dig the
using?
hole.
You
to
have
put-
to dig.
But
a
you
hole,
could
yeah.
also go to the dollar store and buy one of those kiddie pools. That's way easier
So
than digging
I
a
actually
hole.
discovered I
Yeah.
have a gutter that runs right behind here.
Oh, that'd be great. You can collect
and
water.
it runs right off when I actually keep it clear.
But you're in Gainesville. Don't let them know you're collecting the water.
Oh yeah, what's up with that? Well, I'm
Yeah,
actually
that's actually illegal. You're
I'm
not
actually
allowed
just
to
outside of
collect
city
rainwater.
limits
Oh,
here.
thank goodness.
So in Porchville.
Hey, how about Springs County? That thing they're trying to start up there.
Oh,
Episode
I'm so happy about that.
26.
No. It was
32?
41. I think.
No, it was like
Well, there's a
32.
lot of numbers getting thrown
We
around.
actually had Tim Martin from
I think
Springs
it was
County.
41.
Yeah, Jack Pickett and them are all trying to get that. I love it. I think it's great. that, you
yeah.
know, they're like, hey, we're done with all the nonsense. We're just going to try to start our own thing.
Yeah, why not?
But anyways, back to the rain. So you got a thing a gutter that you could collect water from. You can use the kiddie pools. There's lots of ways to collect rain. So another way you can get it in the wilderness. You hunt. Have you ever done a drag? Like tie a piece of cloth to the back of your boot or your shoe
Sure.
and put the urine on
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
and then the doe urine. For those that don't understand about hunting, you put doe urine that you
Walk
can
it
buy from the
across.
store on a rag, and then you drag it behind you while you're walking to your stand. And if a buck smells that, then they'll come in. Well, imagine taking your T-shirt off, or having a towel or any extra piece of cloth in the morning. What's all over the grass? Dew. You can collect that stuff and drink it.
Dude.
Yeah. So
Uh,
more water that you can find in the wilderness.
talking about
everywhere.
swiping cloth through the
Grass.
grass,
Yes.
and then
and
collecting
just
it.
collecting the water, moisture.
That's
I will say this real quick before we get too far from the Springs County
Yeah.
discussion. September 5th, Matt and I are actually going to be at Dr. Jack's chiropractic something in High Springs for a Springs County gathering. You know,
Awesome.
like an informational event. We're actually going to be hosting that,
What are y'all doing?
as well as one in Archer at the Mustang Grill and Bar September 12th. So
Newberry's going to be a part of that as well, aren't you?
yeah. Tim Martin is the
Awesome.
guy spearheading it, and he is actually a Newberry City Commissioner right now.
Nice.
So,
The founder of Tin Can I was telling you about, he's based out of Newberry.
oh great,
Retired Air Force
well,
guy.
he'll be in there. He'll
Yeah.
be in there.
I'm sure he's all about it.
My place here, Porchville. We will be in the new Springs County if that happens.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Congratulations.
So Alachua City
I hope it does happen.
will be in Springs County.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I find
Everything
that
left-
completely ironic.
Everything
That
west
Alachua County
of,
won't
of
have-
Alachua
34th.
City is not going to be in
Alachua
Alachua County.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
How does that work?
Let's
well,
just
that's
hope
what
it
happens
does.
when you suck.
Who knows how it does? Let's just hope that it does work.
It's true.
I'm
Yeah.
keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going out. And those are like Sunday mornings, 10:00 in the morning, Saturday mornings or something. Jesus, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, they're Saturday
I'm
mornings.
sure Nick can do it. I don't know about me.
You can only do it because I'm going to pick you up.
Well, yeah, he'll knock.
You'll
on
be
the
banging
door.
on his window.
First job I ever had was a baker for several years, so I was up at like 3 o'clock every day
Oh
going
my
in and
God.
baking, and so my brain I can wake up in the morning and
What kind of
go.
what kind of bakery was it? Like
It was
like
in a restaurant.
Oh,
just a
yeah?
private. It was a mom and pop's restaurant called Carmichael's in Ocala,
Oh,
and we'd get up every morning, go in there and get everything going, and making the orange rolls and the cornbread and the biscuits, and
I worked at Schlotsky's Deli for a
Mhm.
long time, and there was one up here in Gainesville, and we had same thing. I had to come in every morning and bake the bread and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And
good times, man.
no, not at all.
I
Not-
liked it. I
for,
liked it.
for some,
It was peaceful at that
Yeah,
time of the
yeah,
day. You know,
yeah.
there wasn't all the hustle and bustle.
right. And you seem to be somebody that likes
Peace.
peace and
Yes.
solitude and just
I do.
What's better? Would you rather be out in the woods by yourself? Would you rather be out in the woods with Taylor?
I'll take a 50-50 there. You know.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
love having Taylor there with me, but you know, everybody likes having their a little bit of alone and peaceful time.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
It's okay. You're good.
So what's your main goal with all of this? Like where do you see it going?
I really just want to support him. Whatever I can do to help him. I know how passionate he is. I see it every time I go out with him.
Yeah.
So just anything I could do to help him get where he needs to be.
I think training the youth is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
They love it and absorb it more.
Well,
They're
and you
much
know,
more passionate.
like the Boy Scouts, Girl
Yeah.
Scouts.
You
know,
would think there'd
like-
be a lot more of them. But
Yeah.
I think what stops them is scout leaders that
Yeah.
that already know everything.
Yeah.
Or
Well, I think
they already know
there's
everything.
been such a weird like aura around all of that
Oh,
that
yeah,
that's
it
probably
has been
driven a
happening.
lot of people away. Just be like, look, I don't even know what the hell's going on anymore. So no, I'm not signing you up.
I would
Like,
say scout troops have brought in, as far as the survival part of my business,
Yeah.
probably less than 5%.
that's
Really?
terrible. My
Yeah.
God.
Yep.
I would hope it'd be so much
More
much
of it's
more.
just people
you know?
that Google me.
Yeah.
Most all the business I get is from Google.
Yeah.
Maybe some Facebook thing where people, somebody will be looking for something and another person will tag me or the business or recommend me. I'm in a Business Networkers International BNI group, and I get some referrals from there. But most of the business that I get is just from natural Google searches.
So when I want to sign my family up for a Weekend Warrior class,
Yep.
how much are we looking?
It's $250 per person for the Weekend Warrior,
Okay.
and we provide breakfast and supper. You bring your own lunch and snacks, and
Pretty
and
good food, actually.
It's I was in the restaurant industry the majority of my life, so I would say it's definitely, you're gonna enjoy it.
Okay.
Yep.
Where are the places that you don't want to be stuck in the middle of?
Frozen tundra.
Specifically in Florida, like
In Florida.
where would be just places that you're like, God, I don't want to
So
do that.
Swamps are pretty miserable because
Yeah.
you stay wet most of the time. You can build something up off of dry land, but you're still going to be in the moisture most of the time. There's a lot more dangers in that area, a lot more humidity. And then when it's cold, you're wet and cold, and the only thing that sucks more than being cold is being wet and cold. So
True
swamps
story.
are pretty bad. Anything else I think is doable, but
See, I'm
Swamps,
imagining like Everglades scenario.
yeah.
Like that's terrifying.
There is.
If I have
high
a
ground
gun,
here
I'm
and
just
there.
I'm eating a bullet. There's
Yeah.
no way.
Don't do that.
I'm not. I couldn't. I'd be. I've seen those like 85-foot python things they
Positive
pull out of there.
mindset, Nick.
Yeah, I'm calling bear caught on that one. 85 foot pythons.
All right, it might be an
Bear
exaggeration, but there was definitely it was at least 80 foot. It's terrifying. It was terrifying.
So you can even use grass to build an elevated something to sleep on out of the water. So I mean,
Yeah.
the Everglades is full of grass. It's grasslands.
Right.
But you can pull that stuff out of the from the roots out of the mud in the water and just pile up tons and tons and tons of grass until you've built yourself a little island of grass that you can sleep on that's up out of the water.
Have you had people that have come out like before you even get out in the woods and they're just like, nah, no, can't do it. I cannot.
No,
No?
I haven't had that. I mean, just the two that wanted to leave in the middle of course, and one of them was completely excusable. He brought some old sea rations that he thought were still going to be good to go, and they were old, and I don't know if they were sea rations, it was some kind of canned rations, and they tore his stomach up bad, and he had to go, and it was definitely. I mean, he was up for most of the night throwing up, and I mean, it's dangerous for him to stay already because he's dehydrated from throwing up all night, and but the other one was just ridiculous. So no, it's once they're there, and I mean, going back to you guys asking how much the weekend course was, I wanted to make a note on that. Is $250 per person. I don't think you can search any other survival schools that'll give you that value of what you're going to learn in my course for that price.
No, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. So I try to be, super competitive. I'm not there to make a killing. I'm there to make a living.
Sure.
But really, I want to put just knowledge into as many brains as I can. I want to teach. It's a lost art, survival, and we want to get that going again.
This is actually really cool because it goes sort of in conjunction with we had Carl Oliver from Twisted Dragon Forge here a few weeks ago. He's a blacksmith, and that's something that's just very appealing to me. Is because he said the same thing, or we said the same thing during that episode. It's a lost art, it really is.
People are
And-
getting
and-
back into smithing
yeah.
again, and it's really interesting.
Well, just a lot of these lost arts in general,
Yeah.
the blacksmithing, the survival, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but, specifically those two things, definitely a lost art. And it's really interesting to see them coming back around. What do you think attributes that? Like, why do you think people are coming back around to it?
Part of it I definitely would put into television.
Yeah.
The shows.
The
I mean,
shows.
someone had the idea to do the Forged in Fire and Alone and Naked and Afraid
Mhm.
and Dual Survivor and
Carl was actually
you
on
know,
Forged in Fire.
all these things, and it it generates interest in people. They're like, oh, that's cool. I would like to try this, or I'd like to do this, and then you get the guys that, oh, I could do this. I could do it better than that, and they watch a couple shows and they're a pro.
Yeah.
That's I have a friend that's like that. But it's I think that has a big part of it. The things that they've televised, and it generated a lot of interest.
Yeah.
A lot of people have forgotten about it, and until they see it, it wasn't on the front of their brain. Now they've seen it on television and they're interested, and like, oh man, I want to do that, or oh, I need to do that. I need to learn that so that I can take care of my family.
Yeah, like a lot of people are just going to sit there and just be like, oh, you just have to heat up a piece of iron and hammer it for a while, and I got a knife. Oh, I could do that easy.
Yep.
No problem. No.
No.
Or it's like, oh, I could just make a fishing pole out of a twig and some berries.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I could do that.
So I mean, you watch it on TV, and it's that you only see clips of it. You see,
Right.
Going from this stage to this stage to this. There's so much in between, and so much knowledge. Have you ever heard the story about the old man that fixed the ship? So there's this big
Do
ship.
tell.
There was this big ship, and they couldn't get the engine to run, and they called in all these different mechanics, and they looked all through the engine, and they couldn't figure out what to do, and they called this one old guy in, and he finally came in, and he looked at the engine, and he looked at all this stuff, and then he took a hammer out of his bag, and he hit the engine in one spot and got it to start, and he charged them like $4,000, and they said, what, that's crazy, you can't charge $4,000, all you did was hit it with the hammer. He's like, well, you're not paying for me to hit it with the hammer, you're paying because I knew where to hit it with the hammer. And it's just like that. You got
Right.
the experience.
Yeah.
And if you go to an instructor that knows what they're doing, they're passionate about it, they've got the experience, you're going to learn all those little steps in between that they don't show you on the TV. You know, you see they get the blank metal and then they put it in the fire and then they hammer it and then they cool it down and then they, put the handle on. There's so much knowledge that's in between there that you don't know. You got to cool it the right way. You got to temper it the right way so that it doesn't get brittle. I don't know all the ins and outs of forging, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's the same with survival. You can't watch a couple of shows and be a pro. You got to practice it. You got to learn from somebody. I mean, I guarantee you watch a couple of YouTube videos on how to do fire by friction and then try it and see if you succeed
now
without
fire
a
by
coach.
friction, that's not like I've seen the guys with the fire stick, like
No, that's not
like
flint
the
and
friction
steel
fire.
or
That's
ferrocerium rod. Friction fire is when you're rubbing wood together to create heat and dust
how long
that
does
you
that
turn
usually
into an ember.
take, though?
If I have the right kind of wood, aside from carving this set, I can have an ember within 30 seconds to a minute.
All right, what's the right kind of wood?
I love cottonwood and seep willow is the best for like a hand drill or a bow drill. But here in Florida, you're going to use a lot of palm and or cedar is going to be your best wood for
Cedar and palm.
Yep, cedar and or palm.
No, the bow drill, that's like where you have the string on it and you kind of like twist it over.
Yep.
And then
and you have a socket on top to apply
Almost
downward
like-
pressure.
almost like playing like violin.
Yeah, kind of, but so that is a really tricky one, and we teach it sometimes in the course. We'll go back and forth between a bamboo fire saw or a bow drill, and but the thing is having the right posture, making sure that your notch is carved right, making sure the wood's not damp. All these little factors and variables are what make you succeed or not succeed. And when you have a coach there who says, "Oh, here's what you're doing wrong," you're gonna get through it a lot faster and succeed. Try to watch a YouTube video and do fire by friction. And then one day sign up for a course and come out and do fire by friction. And you're going to be like, oh, man, I watched the video like 8 times. I couldn't get it. I come out here and I do the course, and I got it like the 3rd time I tried.
Yeah.
It was great.
That would have been kind of funny to actually just like have him just like kind of just like tell me just like watch a YouTube video on how to start a fire and see if you can do it. And then I would be sitting out there still to this time.
I think actually the next time that Survival Steve comes, because this has been a lot of fun thus far.
Oh,
the next time, I think at the very beginning, he should show you how to build a fire, and you should just spend the time trying to build it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
That's kind of what I'm
podcast.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways we could go about this.
I
we
would
could
love
have
that
2
idea.
people do it. We could
I
have 2
love it.
people do it. One guy watch a YouTube video and try to do it on their own.
Uh-huh.
And then the other guy, I'll teach how to do it.
I got dibs on the YouTube video
Deal.
because I want to hear everybody hear me cussing up a storm.
That would actually be that'd be a lot of fun.
That would be a really
I'd
good
enjoy it.
episode. Yeah.
Even better if we did it during a whiskey challenge episode.
Oh!
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, we do.
So-
Speaking of whiskey, Reed, what's this whiskey you've brought for us? I'm gonna
not sure.
grab this bottle here.
Did you pick that off a tree in Nick's backyard?
So
yeah, I
Reed,
got it right out back there.
Reed
Yeah.
always brings interesting whiskeys. This week, he brought Basil Hayden's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and I got to tell you, this stuff is easily capable of winning a whiskey challenge episode. It's delicious.
That's pretty killer.
So go try that, Basil Hayden's. You said you were out. What was your longest?
About 2 weeks.
About 2
Yep.
weeks. Tell me about that. Like, how did
Winter time is when I
Wintertime.
preferred it. It's much more
was this
enjoyable.
Ocala?
It was Ocala National
You get
Forest.
hungry.
Now, did you go into it with I'm
ba-
going to go for 2 weeks?
Yeah, a backpack with minimal stuff.
Right.
And no, I didn't have the mindset to. I had downtime.
Just
and
like,
I took it.
How much downtime did you have?
More than 2 weeks.
So you were just kind of like, let me go see.
Yeah.
Let me test this.
So it wasn't a test to myself,
Yeah.
or it wasn't a challenge for myself. It was just I'm gonna go take some downtime and I'm gonna go camping.
That's awesome.
And then it ended up being like 2 weeks of camping.
Right.
I have a dual sport motorcycle that I ride around,
Mhm.
and I took it out there, and I had a backpack with some good supplies in it, my emergency supplies, and it turned into 2 weeks off of a couple of days worth of camping supplies and emergency supplies, just because I didn't want to come back yet,
Yeah.
Wow.
and it was fun. I had a good time.
Now was Taylor here in the picture then?
No, that
No,
was
this was before?
many years
Oh,
before
okay.
the Taylor.
So you just drove
Yep.
off into the woods,
Yep.
spent 2 weeks out there. What was that like?
It was wonderful. It was
Yeah.
it was great.
What?
It was cool.
What's-
I
what-
built a lean-to shelter instead of a debris shelter because I had plenty of fire to keep me warm.
Right. And you're going to be out there a little longer.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, a debris shelter. It sounded like it was fairly
very
minimalistic
very confined
versus
Yep.
doing the lean-to,
Yep.
which will give you.
Now, you could make
know,
a larger debris shelter that you can move around in a lot more, but most of the time in a survival situation, you're going to use minimal calories building it, so you want to make it small as you can, so that not only does it take less time and energy to build, but it's keeps you much more insulated. There's no extra dead airspace inside for the cold air to come in. So I just built a simple lean-to. I had a sleeping bag, so I was plenty warm. I had fires. I was good to go. And it was peaceful. It was quiet. It was nice. I did a lot of hiking and exploring out in the Ocala National Forest, and it was great.
You ever worry about just what if? Like, what if you get out there and something happens?
Well, it's the Ocala National
you're out
Forest. It's
there.
not like the Amazon jungle.
Right.
There's roads everywhere.
So you're confident, though, that if something bad happened, that you could get out or get somewhere?
I would say I was confident enough that
Yeah.
that I would be okay no matter what. The most probably odd thing that would be able to happen, and I had my phone on me too.
Mhm.
So probably the most dangerous thing would be being attacked by a bear in the middle of the night and or a snake in the middle of the night,
Right.
and then having to explain to responders where I'm at and please hurry and come get me if if it was a snake. If it's a bear, you may or may not be able to communicate or use your hands or use your phone. So
Yeah.
and I always take protection with me as well. But if something happens while you're dead asleep, are you going to be able to do anything about it that fast? You don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't focus on the what ifs or what could happen because I'm there to relax my brain and not wind it up and worry and have anxiety and fear. I'm there to let all that stuff go.
I need to do that.
Yeah,
I need to
so
let
like-
go of all of it, man. That sounds amazing.
I think it is. It's not for everybody. But we do other things for people that don't want to be out in the woods for several days. We can do a river trip during the day, or we do. Oh, here's a cool one for you. We do a rite of passage, and we do it with tin can that I mentioned
Rite
earlier.
of passage.
Rite of passage.
Now,
is,
what
it's
is
called
that?
it's called a ropes course. It's a rite of passage experience survival, and it's
Okay.
for children going into young adulthood.
What?
And
I'm
it's
short
a-
enough. I'd
That
pass.
sounds-
It's a
That
four.
sounds great.
Well, we could do river trips, overnight river campouts for adults, just the same way we do this one. So it's a 4 to 5 day downriver adventure where the youth are taught survival skills on day one, and then they have to paddle their own kayak. They have to set up their own camps, start their own fires, catch and cook their own food. They're allowed 10 pounds of gear, not including their safety gear like their helmets and their life jackets and their water bottles and stuff like that. But they're allowed to have 10 pounds of gear. Most of them take like ramen and oatmeal, so they'll have other food in case they don't catch fish and stuff. But what we do is they have to do everything on their own. One parent comes with them as like a security and to give some mental encouragement, but we also restrict the parents from like coddling. We don't let them coddle.
This would be
And no-
perfect for
no-
Reed.
Dude, that sounds
no mother
awesome.
This would be perfect for Reed.
So-
You don't have to worry about him coddling either.
Yeah,
He's
he'll
going to be like,
step
get
back
out
and let 'em
there.
do their thing. Huh?
That's right.
So what
Am I wrong in that?
Nope.
You just let it ride.
Let them ride.
That's
what this does is it teaches the youth how to carry on through life while facing adversities, the hunger, tired, heat exhaustion.
a lot of stuff
Life
that kids
doesn't-
nowadays are
Life
just
doesn't
not
give you
taught.
breaks.
Yeah.
Life doesn't give breaks. And
Yeah.
if you want to learn how to adult, you got to learn that you got to keep going no matter how difficult life is. You're tired, you're hungry, you paddled your canoe all day, but you still got to start your fire and cook your own food. Mom and dad ain't going to do it for you forever. But and then we make a line in the sand and they cross over that line into manhood, and then the last day we go over Big Shoals Rapids up in White Springs. And that's like the fun part of the day where we go
Right.
over the
What
rapids.
age group we talking about here?
It's up to the parents, whenever they think that the youth is ready to take that adventure. I don't recommend, like 8 to 10-year-olds doing it.
A 14-year-old.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. 14?
Reed's ready
Put
to
'em in
throw
it.
the kids
Yeah.
in the water.
Absolutely.
Now, can you send the kid on this adventure without an adult?
Nope, they have to have a guardian with them. Yep, have to have a guardian with them. It doesn't have to be you. It could be Uncle Funkle Joe or whoever you want to
Somebody.
send them with. Yeah,
Funkle.
somebody that's going to
Funkle.
be responsible for their well-being, while they're out there, and just kind
Caden,
of
Gage,
mostly
I'm
somebody that's
sorry.
going to supervise them directly, because we can't supervise every person. We have a point
Sure.
person in a vessel, and we have a sweep person in a vessel to make sure nobody gets left behind. And then the first person just kind of guides them where to go, and the last person sweeps up to make sure nobody's behind, and then
So
we
you've
set
done
up
it
camp
before.
at night. Oh yeah, we've done this multiple times.
So do you have kids that are like, meh?
We had all right. So one of my favorite kids is one of my best friends. He's going to be one of my groomsmen at my wedding. and at our wedding, and his son Ethan
Congratulations.
came out. Thank you.
Here, here.
Yep, and
I'll drink to that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna drink anyway. I'm
any
gonna drink to
reason-
that
any
too.
reason to drink. So Ethan came out, and on day, I think it was day 2, he was done. He was like, I'm not gonna do this. He snuck over and got his dad's phone and called his mom, sent her a drop pin in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the river, where there's no access points to get to him, whatever, and said, "Come get me." And his mom's
Yeah,
like,
just pull the station wagon round, Mom.
So his mom's like, I can't. You're there. You got to do this, And she went about it the right way.
Yeah.
And we talked to him, and he went and sat, and he thought about it a little bit more, and then he got up later on, and he drew a line in the sand, and he stepped over that line. He said, "Listen, I'm a man now." We're like, well,
Oh, damn.
you got to show us.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess kids can have a hard time. They can want to give up, but I am. A lot of my friends call me the child whisperer, and the Lord gave me a talent to talk to kids and communicate to them in a way to where they immediately trust me and listen to me and respect me. And you'll have your few that are just 100% little butts, and they don't.
Sure.
They just want to be defiant. But I'd say probably 98 to 99% of kids I can communicate with. And
I'm still trying to actually grow out of that.
yeah, being defiant.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I haven't grown up yet.
That's all right. That's okay. Some
I
people
think
never
you
do.
should go on this.
How many kids do y'all have on those, adventures?
I would say cap it at 8.
Are you're signing them boys? You're signing the boys up, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're
I'm
ready to
signing
go.
Gage up. We're going. Me and him.
8 kids and
boy.
8 adults is probably as much as I'd want to handle with a point, a sweep, and a safety. If we could do more than that, but we'd have to bring in more resources as well.
I'd be more than happy to go and do that as long as we find the whiskey trees.
Yep. So the first time we did it, and this was the one that Ethan was on, was I want to say it was sometime in the summer. The Swanee River was down so far that there was like 4 or 5 spots that we had to get out of our kayaks, which have a super shallow draft, several inches,
Yeah.
and drag them across the rocks
Mm.
because the water was so low. And John was it John? Yeah, John, his dad, fell into the boat. He tripped on a rock and fell into the boat and injured himself a little bit. But it was a rough adventure. It was hot. The water was barely moving at all. So every couple of feet of ground that you gained, it was because you paddled. So there was no coasting down the river. It was a fight.
This was just solid work the
It
whole
was-
time.
Listen, that boy earned every bit of his being a
Yeah.
young man. So
But I hear that a lot though, where it's almost like a recurring theme that kids go out into these situations and they they're looking at it going, "You're out of your mind,"
yeah.
and then by the time they get through it, it's such a sense of accomplishment.
It is.
They
It is.
feel so good about themselves and what they've achieved. That's an amazing thing to give to be able to give a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is that
really,
like the
they-
Mighty Ducks?
They earn it.
Kinda
Yeah,
sounds
except
like the
less,
Mighty Ducks.
except less Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you would Steve would actually be Emilio Estevez in this situation.
I hope there's, nothing wrong with him, but you could compare me to somebody maybe a little.
Sylvester
Take it up a
Stallone.
notch. Oh, Lord.
I don't know.
How about Sylvester
Emilio
Stallone?
Estevez
This
was
is
pretty
getting any better.
badass back in the day.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
I mean, Emilio Estevez back in the day. Taylor,
Yeah.
come on, no, no.
She's 26, so a lot of our movie references are going to get lost on her.
26. Oh my god.
Yeah.
You don't know Mighty Ducks?
You don't know the Mighty Ducks
No.
at all? All right.
What?
Yeah.
That's all right. Last
Hey,
week,
I thought
last
we were
week
gonna
we
be
had somebody
really
that
good
hadn't seen the
friends.
Goonies. Have you seen the
Oh
Goonies?
my god.
All right,
Oh,
you at least
yeah.
have seen the Goonies.
I made her
So-
watch Blazing Saddles one time. Too.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a
I
classic.
love the
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would
so
never
the-
get made
the-
nowadays,
I
but
saw-
that is a
I saw
classic,
something the other
certified.
day said they've edited it for television and it's going to air tonight from 8 o'clock to 8:07. 7 minutes is all they were able to pull out of it. for
In
television.
5 minutes of that is just the credits.
Credits,
That's
yeah.
it. That's it.
That's it. So
Oh.
so the rite of passage, like you said, they have a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
They earn it. They got to fight for it, and you never know what's going to happen. That river's a lot like life. It might be low and it might be tough. It might be up and it might be moving and things are nice and smooth. You never know what it's going to throw at you, man. So
Yeah.
it's,
How often do y'all do that?
Twice a year.
Really?
Yep. Usually during spring break and during Christmas break. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it this coming spring break. So sign up for the Christmas break one if you want to do it.
break.
Because this spring break we'll probably be on a honeymoon.
You're in, aren't you?
I
Both of the
am.
boys or just one?
No, I'm not bringing a kid.
Why
Well,
not?
I gotta ask a question.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that does all of this, like the survivalist and all that different stuff, what do you do for a honeymoon to make it memorable? Like, what
That's a
actually
great
makes it
question.
exciting?
Taylor, you want to take the mic for a sec?
Yeah. We haven't settled anything yet for sure, but we're planning on doing Norway.
No way.
Damn.
Yeah, going to see the fjords and doing some reindeer sledding and hopefully some northern light chasing, and
That's amazing.
Jesus.
Yeah.
that's the
Reindeer
plan.
sledding sounds
We're gonna
amazing.
sled and dine on reindeer.
No, don't say that. Just tell me it's steak.
It is steak. It's
Yeah, reindeer steak.
I don't remember that Christmas song.
That sounds awesome, though. That sounds
yeah.
sounds really
That's-
cool.
I mean, that's the way we're leaning right now, and hopefully, I mean, we both love the outdoors.
Yeah.
And especially like water. We love going and seeing waterfalls, different places, and so we're both outdoorsy. I was probably hardcore into it a lot more than Taylor is or started off, but she's she keeps right up with me. So
I hope my wife doesn't listen to this episode
why,
Oh, I'm
she's
gonna
more
call her
outdoorsy
and tell her.
because she's gonna be like, "How come you didn't take me to Norway? I want to go to Norway. Where's the reindeer, Reed?"
than you. Yeah.
I want those reindeer steaks, Reed.
Yeah, there was a cool like yurt thing that you can camp in that they set up, and it's like really nice, like kind of glamping. But that's what we're looking like right now.
That
on our
sounds
way.
Just
awesome.
out in the middle of it,
Yeah.
man. And that's such a beautiful area.
Yeah,
Like, God, just to be out in that type of nature every
but
day.
it's gonna be like February or March, so we're not sure if we should postpone and do it like after that, so that it's not just complete snow everywhere.
But you get a better chance of seeing northern
Northern lights when
in
it's
the
that time of
wintertime.
year. Yeah, so.
So you're
I mean, I'll take
swaying
the cold.
options.
I like the cold.
I love the cold personally. I'd rather. I was born in Michigan.
Yeah.
I'd rather be up there dealing with that than
I've been down here my whole
dealing
life,
with
so
this god awful heat.
I'll take the cold for a long time.
So I got to sign my son up when
Yeah.
he's 16
Okay.
because cold rapids sound bad.
No, so they're not real cold. It just depends on the time of year you go.
Cold anything.
December is usually not too bad. A lot of that water is coming from up in Georgia. We put in up in Fargo, Georgia, but December is probably not going to be too cold, and the rapids aren't very scary. They are rapids, and we camp right there at the rapids, so you hear them roaring all night, and it builds up a lot of kind of, I don't know, probably a little bit of fear in the kids, like
Maybe a
hearing
little
those rapids and the roaring.
anticipation.
But when they get to them and on them, they're not as scary as they sound. They're
Yeah.
there's we show them where to go through. We have a safety briefing before we go.
You have
we
coats
have
and jackets.
We have a guy down. Oh yeah,
I just want you to know, I would be
helmets-
just as terrified
helmets
as
and
those
life
kids.
jackets. I was the first time I did it.
just
No,
the
the
thought of it.
rapids.
And I'm
the
still-
rapids are the most fun part.
Yeah.
like that is.
I was
so
I was
much fun.
scared the first time I did it because not only am I doing it, but I'm doing it in front of all these kids, and if I eat it, then what do
You're
I look
done.
like? Yeah, they're like, oh, Steve ate it. No, man. So I was scared the first time, and I'm still apprehensive every time I do it
Yeah.
because you never know what's changed under that water that you
Sure.
can't see, and so we know the safe path to shoot, and we've had kids that tip over, we've had adults that tipped over. And we recover them at the bottom of the rapids, and we just teach them. You lay back, put your feet out in front of you, knees bent, and they've got helmets on, and they just kind of float down. But it's not like a big class, crazy rapid. It's a rapid, but it's not terrifying.
How do I sign up?
14 is plenty.
So
do I
how does
sign
he?
up?
How
Yeah,
does he sign up?
Just give me a call later.
Yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
tomorrow would be fine.
Well, how would the general public sign up?
They
for
can go to
that?
the website and hit the contact us button and just let us know what they're interested in, and we can sign them up from there.
And it's best to call, not email, right?
Well, you can do
Either
either.
way.
Yeah, you can do either. I usually save administrative work for Thursdays.
Uh-huh.
I'll try to respond to emails and stuff every Thursday. If I've got downtime in between and service, then I'll check them and scroll through, see what I've got. But emails, not the best way to reach me. They can text.
Do you guys do Facebook and any of that?
Oh yeah, we have Facebook Messenger on the business page.
We have an Instagram.
Yep, and she started.
How
some
could you
Instagram.
not with being out in those areas?
I didn't, but she's.
Well,
she's
that's how that works.
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
She's the smart one.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's how we make it.
I am not hip on all the new technology and the way they do things. I mean, I teach people how to make fire rubbing sticks together for a living.
Right.
So Thank goodness for Taylor. But so yeah, they could contact us with the contact us button on the website. Leave their name, number, email address if they'd like to. They can text the number that's on the website. They can call the number that's on the website. Any of those will work, and you can sign up for a weekend warrior, an advanced course, a consultation for prepping, any kind of adventure. We travel out of state and do adventures. I go as a guide on lots of adventures because I'm an emergency medical responder, and I'm the tracking task force leader for search and rescue. So I'm a pretty safe person to be with in the wilderness.
Man, that's
survival.
a whole other show.
I know how to track, and I know how to bandage you up if something bad happens.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So my kid is if we did go on this and he did survive his rite of passage, he's immediately gonna wanna try and take me down.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course.
He thinks he's a man.
Okay.
Well, he's already.
Do you have any insurance for that?
He's already bigger than you, isn't he?
Yeah, he's.
I'm sure I can think of something.
He's right up on me.
I can be pretty creative.
My son just overtook me.
Did
He is now the tallest person in the house,
house?
which isn't much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
How tall are you, Nick?
5'4.5".
I remember when I was in the 5th grade.
Shut up, man. Well,
Yeah.
so North Florida Survival. That's where everybody can go and find you.
Yep, NorthFloridaSurvival.com.
And that's where they can reach out and access all these amazing things that you guys are doing.
Or they can go to the North Florida Survival and Adventure on Facebook.
North Florida Survival and Adventure.
Yep.
On
Is that what
Facebook.
it's at on Facebook?
Either way, we're going to link it up in the show notes as well as the tinfoil.
The
Tincan.us.
Tincan.us is the website.
I knew I shouldn't have said it. I was waiting. I was like,
Tinfoil.
Tin Canning. And they're a great organization.
You messed it up.
I
I
did.
volunteered with them for like 5 years now.
No,
as
this isn't David Bora.
I'm the wilderness division director.
David
at
loves
Tin
how much
Can.
we talk about him. Tincan.us. They
Yep.
can find you there. And
If you want to do
check
something
out
cool
website.
for a veteran, or if you know a veteran or responder that needs some time out there, we do hunts with them. We do fishing trips. We do survival camps. We do a lot of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Sounds
Lobstering.
badass.
Lobstering.
Yeah.
Yep. Lobstering.
Anything else you
Scalloping.
want to say to the good folks of Porchville before we?
Just do your
Wrap
part
it
to prepare yourself for whatever might be out there, whatever might come. There's nothing wrong with being a prepared person and being ready to take care of yourself and your family, all on your own. It's just part of being a responsible adult, a responsible American citizen. Do your part to prepare and be ready to take care of yourself and your family, so that you don't have to depend on your government or your neighbor. You don't have to be someone with a handout. You'll be that citizen that can lend a hand to someone that might need it. Train if you're a hunter, a hiker, someone that takes their kids into the woods, or someone that just wants to learn some skills. Learning some primitive wilderness survival is a great idea. You could fall out of your stand because you get attacked by hornets or bees or whatever else, or you're drinking beers up in your stand, or
Whoops.
or you could twist an ankle on the way into your stand.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen. So having some basic skills, knowing what to do, can be epic as far as making sure that you're going to get home to your friends, family, loved ones, or to your TV, whatever you cherish. And so just be responsible. Take some training, have some fun. We have a great time out there.
Awesome.
I've got, if you look at our reviews, 5-star all the way. I've never got a negative review.
Beautiful.
And knock on wood, I never will. But I go above and beyond to make sure that the people that come out and train with us or do any adventuring with us just have a blast. We can do scalloping, we can do lobstering, we can do hikes, kayaking trips down the river, in the ocean, fishing. There's anything that has to do with outdoors, we'll do it. And we've traveled up to Kentucky, Arizona, Tennessee. I'll travel anywhere as long as they're willing to pay, my travel fees and my time. I'll travel anywhere and adventure with people. It's what I love to do. So
That's awesome.
That's really awesome.
NorthFloridaSurvival.com,
correct.
Tincan.us,
Yep.
and PorchvillePod.com. This has been another episode with Reed and Matt, Survival Steve,
Survival Steve.
and Taylor. Go check them out at NorthFloridaSurvival.com. And that's all we got, man. Anybody else want to say anything? Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Taylor.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Survival Steve, this has been a pleasure. We're going to do this again, man, because this has been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
We got lots more to talk about. So, bye-bye, Porchville.
that were touring us